1980. National League Championship Series. Live from the Astrodome in Houston, Texas. The Astros, champions of the West, host the Phillies, champions in the East. Pete, because of all of the aftermath on your attempt to get home yesterday, I'd like you to take us through your thinking, the manager's thinking, when you were on third base.
Well, first of all, Howard, whenever you're on third base with no outs, the coach will 99 out of 100 times tell you to make the ball go through. You're looking for the sacrifice fly. So your lead at third is not quite as far as the third baseman because you can't afford a line drive double play. I remember last night's game with the Yankees. Reggie was leading off second base. The guy hit a line drive to shortstop, and they doubled him off and took him right out of a big inning. So with no outs, you can't be doubled off at third base. Now with one out, which there was yesterday with Mike Schmidt, second, third, runners on second, third, I got to get a lead as far as the third baseman, and I go on contact. I'm thinking walking towards home, and I go on contact. Hopefully he'll hit the ball to short or second because they're giving us the run. But as you can see right here, Mike Schmidt hits the ball, hits it hard, right to the third baseman. So even if I stop there, he's got me. See, because I'm further off than he is. He's just got me in a rundown. Now, if any mistake was made here, is the fact that when I saw I was going to be out, which you can see right here, I should have stopped and tried to give Mike a chance to get to second base, and we got the same situation, second, third, and 2 outs. It still takes a single to score you. So that was the only mistake I made, was not getting in the rundown. But sometimes, you know, I'm going full blast right here, and the catcher hasn't received the ball yet, so I think it's going to be close. And it's not. It is a close play right there. So I can't take the chance that I might kick the ball out of his glove. You saw that against the Houston Astros and the Los Angeles Dodgers when someone kicked the ball out of Ferguson's glove. That can happen too. So there wasn't really no baseball mistake made yesterday.
All right, so much for that. In summary, you went on Dallas Green's orders to go on contact. You get that order, you take a walking lead. No way then you can go back. Now the only possible mistake you made was not forcing a rundown so that Mike Schmidt could have gone the second. That out of the way. How much did that defeat take out of you? What about Carlton today?
Well, you know, I don't really concern myself, Howard, simply because we're swinging the bats. We're getting a lot of base hits. We're just not getting sacrifice flies. We'd be already nationally champions if we could hit some sacrifice flies this week. But we're not getting blown out of the ballpark. You know, it's just a difference of one play here or there. We'd be 3-0 right now instead of 1-2. And I would be a lot more concerned if I didn't have Steve Carlton pitching for me today. But I feel that he's the best pitcher in the National League and perhaps baseball. And you know, you need a game to win. Who else would you like pitching for you other than Steve Carlton? And I just think that we can go 2-2 after today's game and see what happens tomorrow.
You told the people of Philadelphia when you came, I'm going to bring a pennant to Philadelphia. You regret that statement?
No, sir, because I feel that this ball club is a better ball club right now. We're just not playing as good as the Astros right now. But man for man, I think this ball club is as good as any ball club in baseball. And we just got our work cut out for us today, and we just got to go make it happen.
All right, the batting order. First, the major change I told you about. Lonnie Smith in left field leading off. We'll develop that story later. Then Pete Rose, Mike Schmidt, Bake McBride, Manny Trio, Gary Maddox, Larry Bowa, Bob Boone, and Steve Carlton. Carlton, one of those many Philly good-hitting pitchers.
All right, Howard, Lonnie Smith to lead it off. He hit .339 on the year with 3 home runs and 20 RBIs. He is 1 for 1 in the playoff series. And, of course, that one big base hit that he got at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia caused all kinds of controversy. That was the play when Bake McBride did not score in game number 2. We're ready to go. And Vern Rule delivers a strike. Rule a record of 12 wins and 4 losses and a 2.38 earned run average on the year. Very quiet right-hander delivers a breaking pitch inside, and the count goes even at 1-1. Another sellout crowd here at the Astrodome this afternoon, and you know that they are just sitting on pins and needles. They are waiting to explode if their Astros can win.
Rule is a man, as you look at Lonnie Smith leading off. They have their best, the Phillies do, winning record with Lonnie Smith leading off. He is a speedster. Compare those figures with when Pete Rose leads off.
In hard, there is the shortstop, Landeskog, and there's one away. Rafael Landeskog. He has scored both winning runs in this championship series that the Astros have won. Well, with one down, we will go to the first baseman, Pete Rose. Rose, 5 hits in 13 at-bats in the championship series with a couple of base on balls, and that figures out to be at .385.
Quickly, back to why you didn't see Luzinski. Dallas Green never told him a word about why he took him out of the lineup. Luzinski seemed openly miffed about it, but Green wanted speed. Green now knows and has known all along that the Astrodome negates power. Luzinski powered one yesterday, would have been way out of that stadium. We're at 1-1.
A ball and a strike to Rose. 1 out. Game just underway. Game number 4. Vern Rule, excellent control. He kind of says I'm a on or out in 3 pitches type pitcher. Now what that means is the hitter either gets on or he makes an out. I like to throw strikes and get in and out of here. Line to left coming on is Cruz, and he makes a play. Great running catch by Jose Cruz, and right there, Terry Tata, the left field umpire, to make the call.
All right, here it is again, and by now you've grown accustomed to this kind of thing with these Astros. Speed and opportunism, they're trademarks. They make the big plays in the field. Here it is again. Cruz got the quick jump, came in swiftly on the ball, gambled some, but was there to make the catch.
There's one more shot of it as he comes in. There's some good angles for you to look at, and right there you see the umpire down the left field line, Terry Tata, to make the call. So very quickly 2 outs for the Phillies, and here's Mike Schmidt. Mike hitting just .214 in this series, 3 hits in 14 at bats. He has 1 extra base hit. That was a double.
Fields, he's been hitting in tough luck, especially when he drove one sharply to third on the play that Pete Rose talked about when Pete attempted to score.
Doug Harvey, the home plate umpire. You've got the veteran behind the plate. Rule has really not pitched that much against the Philadelphia Phillies in his career. Just a few innings in relief. So it's a little bit of a new experience as far as the Phillies are concerned, and of course for Rule. And you would have to say as you go along, it's not really the first time, but maybe the first time over any prolonged period of time. You might say advantage Rule for a while. 2 balls and a strike, 2 outs to Schmidt. Two and two the count. These Astro fans, it's like sitting on top of Mount St. Helen, Howard.
They're tremendous.
Well, there's the sinker. He has a sinker, slider, curve type pitcher. Not really an overpowering type pitcher, but excellent control. And don't forget, he had that bad hand. He reached for a towel, had a couple of stitches in his pitching hand, and he gets hit strike 3, and the crowd is on their feet. So the Phillies go 1-2-3 in inning number 1. The first half inning, the Phillies nothing with the Astros. Coming up. All right, let's check the defensive alignment for the Philadelphia Phillies. Pete Rose again at first base for manager Dallas Green. The second baseman is Manny Trio. The shortstop, the veteran Larry Boa. At third base, Mike Schmidt trying to get himself going. In left field, the rookie Lonnie Smith this afternoon. In center field, fleet of foot, that is Gary Maddox. A great play yesterday. Bake McBride over in right field. Behind the plate, Bob Boone. And the pitcher starting and hoping to keep the Philly hopes alive, the veteran left-hander Steve Carlton, a record of 24 wins and 9 losses.
The batting order: Bull, Cabell, Morgan, Woods, Howe, Cruz, Pujols, Landeskog, and Vern Rule. Different from yesterday, necessitated by the loss of Cesar Cedeno, resting comfortably in the hospital, surgery last night.
There's the curveball by Carlton, and he's got an excellent one. We're going to see if we see a different Steve Carlton this afternoon. He had a lot of rest prior to game number 1, and he was not sharp at all. Bounces that curveball, and the count 1-1. Carlton, if you recall, in that first game we mentioned, the first 4 innings he threw 76 pitches, barely a hit on the count, rarely. Then he settled down, that's fouled away. And over the next 3 innings threw but 36 pitches. That was the only game that the Phillies have won so far.
Remember, in that game, Poole did not play. Joe Morgan was rested because of the bad leg.
The breaking pitch gets him. Now, strikeout number 1 for Steve Carlton. 1 gone. Here's Enos Cabell. 3 hits and 12 at-bats in the championship series. Yesterday went 2 for 4. On the year, 276 with a couple of home runs and 55 RBI. We mentioned that Cabell has a slightly pulled groin muscle. He did it in an attempt to steal second base in yesterday's ball game. He made the comment to Joe Morgan after the 10th inning when Morgan came up in the 11th. He says, do something big. He says, I don't know how much longer I can go out there and play. And that's exactly what little Joe did. He led off with a triple. There's the strike on the breaking pitch.
And Cabell not only went out and played last night, he went to the hospital to visit his good friend Cedeno. He's telling me today Cesar lay there half out of it but crying because he could no longer participate.
Well, that's a tough break because you're looking at a man who was down here with the Astros when they did not have the pennant contenders, and now they definitely have a shot at the World Series, and he cannot participate. 0-2 the count. Carlton and the Phillies trying to bounce back. Steve, we mentioned before how he'll go into opposing ballparks and just plug his ears up with cotton. Not to have the noise affect him. Foul away in the count of 1-2.
He's been all but invincible in this arena. His last 3 efforts here, a 1-hitter, a 2-hitter, a 7-hitter. Just spectacular.
He is 2-0 against the Houston Astros this year. There's that breaking pitch. He will try and keep it down and try and keep it in on the right-hand hitters. Very effective pitch for him. Carlton against Houston lifetime is 28-9 in regular season play. Two balls and 2 strikes. 1 out of the Houston first inning. No score. Game just underway. But foul outside of third. The Astros down on the field prior to the game, Howard, you got the feeling they feel very confident against Steve Carlton. They feel that this Astrodome is really the equalizer to anybody. 1 hop to Schmidt. Behind the bag. Throws and a get him. Just kidding.
For a man with a pulled groin muscle, Cabell sped down there.
He got there in a hurry. This was a high bouncer. Schmidt behind the bag had to wait for it to come down. Was able to set up the long, strong throw. And Pete Rose, he got off of there in a hurry, but right there's the veteran Ed Vargo to make the call. Oh, with 2 outs, Joe Morgan stands in. Joe with 2 hits and 6 at-bats in the series with 4 walks. Of course, the big triple yesterday that eventually turned into be the big run.
Joe was funny. He was kidding with his old buddy Pete Rose before the game. He said it shouldn't have taken that long. No way Maddox should have caught that other ball.
Foul at the plate, and the count goes to 1-1.
If you remember that earlier inning, but still a late inning, when Morgan hit one in the gap, and Maddox, with those antelope strides, made an utterly spectacular catch.
He thought the ball was in the gap. It was even hooking away from Maddox, but Gary just outran it. 2 balls and a strike. Not only was Morgan's triple yesterday very big, but remember game 2, the key double in the 8th inning. The strike, and the count goes even at 2-2.
You mentioned that the Astros are confident. This is true. They seem to be able to weather any personnel loss. Did that when they survived what happened to Jay Rodney, And now they expect to survive what happened to Cesar Cedeno.
Comebacker. And that is out number 3. So the Houston Astros go down 1-2-3 in the first inning. And after one, the Phillies and the Astros, no score. We're ready to go to inning number 2. And for Philadelphia, they will go to Bake McBride, Manny Trio, and Gary Maddox in that order. No score. Both pitchers, Vern Rule and Steve Carlton, retiring the side in order. There you see Bake's championship series numbers, 3 for 14. He's had 1 base on balls. McBride, he was almost knocked out of the lineup, crashing into the wall on Joe Morgan's triple yesterday. He suffered a bruised left hip and left hand. He had x-rays last night, but they were negative. 1 ball and 1 strike to Bake.
They can't afford to lose Bake. He's been a hot hitter. Hit safely in 14 of his last 15 games. 11 of the last 12 regular season. 3 straight in this series.
You can see how manager Dallas Green has moved his lineup around, leading off with Smith and McBride hitting 4th and up the middle. That's a base hit.
Quickly, let's go down to our ABC colleague Steve Zabriskie downstairs.
Thank you, Howard. I'm here with Tom Rich, who is JR's friend and lawyer. And what's the current status of JR's condition, Tom, and his prognosis for the future?
Well, he's going to be going to California very shortly for surgery, which is corrective surgery. And hopefully, even though we're not counting on it, JR has a chance to be at spring training next year. But in the meantime, we hope that this surgery will permit him to be able to resume a normal life. And then we'll treat the question of pitching again after that. But we're cautiously optimistic about that as well.
Thank you, Tom. Let's go back to the booth now to Don and Howard.
All right, Steve, thank you very much. And all of our hopes are certainly with Big JR. Manny Trio, a leadoff single by Bake McBride. Trio, 3 hits and 12 at-bats on the series. That's the first base hit of the ball game. Rule will keep McBride close. You've got a feeling, Howard, the way that Dallas Green has moved Lonnie Smith into the lineup and rearranged his lineup, he is going to try and run a little bit this afternoon. He's going to try and make something happen. You pointed out they have left too many men on base, 30. And that is what Houston is thinking also. The pitch out to no avail. 1 ball and no strikes.
Now let's see if they pitch out again.
Rule with excellent control. We've talked about that, pitching out a couple of times in a row. Enos Cabell even with a bag at third. The infield, they set for 2. McBride a good lead. There he goes. Swung on and missed. Throw through. Not in time.
When you have a good controlled pitcher like Rule, you just wonder why they won't pitch out a second time. Billy Martin talked about this in the American League Series. He often does it.
Now we'll take another look at it. McBride, excellent speed, long, loping strides. The throw didn't appear that Poole's got a real good grip on the ball. He one-hopped it to Morgan, but Bride is there with ease. Now Bake with good speed and scoring position at second base. Nobody out in the count, 1-1 to Manny Trio.
Dallas Green is eager to get off early today, to get a lead. You give Carlton a lead. The Astros not noteworthy for being able to score runs, get into instant trouble.
The opposition this year, as you look at Dallas Green, stole 15 bases off of Vern Rule. They were caught 5 times. Now the Phillies trying to jump out to a 1-0 lead. 2 balls and a strike, and there's a case where Dallas Green is not even going to take a chance of letting Trio swing the bat and try and move the runner to the opposite, hit the ball to the opposite side and move the runner to third. Bat Boy comes out with a tongue depressor to give to Vern Rule where he can keep the mud come out around his spikes. That can really get you kind of teetering out there just a little bit as it starts to build up.
This Vern Rule in his 22 starts, first 3 innings, gave up 31 runs, middle 310, last 3-6.
The epitome of getting a guy early or not getting him really too much at all.
We've certainly talked about that.
Bunt attempt foul, and that's what Mike Ryan was saying, the coach of the Phillies. He said execution, execution in a 5-game series, the best 3 out of 5, which the championship playoff series are. He says you've got to do it. They've left 30 men on base in 3 games, 25 in the last 2 games, and that has got to be exasperating. Vern Rule threw a few days ago. We mentioned he had a couple of stitches in his finger from catching it on the nail as he tried to pull a towel down. He had a little problem with a fastball. Hit to the right side, and Trio does his job. To third, McBride, as Morgan throws him out.
Stolen base set up the first scoring opportunity. That's obvious. What's interesting is that so far in this series, the Phils have stolen 5 bases in 7 attempts. The Astros, no stolen bases.
And that is something when you think that the Astros on the course of the year stole 195. The infield is in. You can see what Bill Verdon is thinking. He's going to gamble right here. He doesn't want to give Carlton any breathing room if he can. Gary Maddox, the hitter.
And this has been the most solid player on the Phillies in this championship playoff series, Gary Maddox.
Jammed him and loops it foul right side. 0-1 the count. Maddox 4 hits and 12 at bats. He has 1 extra base hit, that a double.
And he has been a wizard in the field.
He certainly has. Look at that, driving in runners from third with less than 2 outs.
There is a facial resemblance to Frank Robinson.
Hit hard and foul. That scrambles the Phillies at that far end of the dugout.
And indeed, though his body is somewhat more fragile, he has that long-legged look of Frank Robinson in Frank's younger years.
A little different hitter than Robbie.
Oh, yes.
This is more speed than Robbie. Now, Rule able to go to work to start whittling if he can. No balls and 2 strikes, 1 out. McBride at third, no score. Phillies 2nd inning. Game number 4. Got him.
Well, he has not gotten out of this inning yet, but if you're beginning to suspect that somehow, some way, this team executes when they have to execute, yes, you're right. That's the way they won the Western Division.
They have been sitting back kind of tongue-in-cheek, laughing at some of the reports that they've read and heard about no offense, no names, who are the Houston Astros, and they sit back and say they will find out. That quiet confidence that really, I think, is instilled by their manager, Bill Verdon. Here's Larry Boa. Boa, 3 hits in 9 at-bats, 3 walks in the series. The infield now with 2 outs. They move back. Cabell just inside the bag at third. Bounce to the shortstop. Landestroy. He goes to first in time.
And they did it again. And the Phils left still another man on base. For want of a fly ball, a pennant can be lost. We'll be back at the Astrodome in a moment.
So the Houston Astros get ready to take their bet at inning number 2, and it will be Gary Wood, Art Howe, and Jose Cruz, the first 3 that will face left-hander Steve Carlton.
Bill Verdon, who has shown absolutely no wavering in any judgment he's made in this series, has tremendous confidence in Woods. That's why he's batting him 4th.
1 ball and no strike. Remember game number 1. Gary Wood 2 for 3, had 2 singles, but the 1 out that he made, he hit a shot to Manny Trio. There's the strike, and the count 1-1.
He had 42 doubles in Tucson. He's not noted as a power hitter. Yet he can fool you. A contact hitter. He's crushed 2 here in this ballpark.
Carlton just manipulating that outside corner with that fastball. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Steve, what makes him so tough? Will move it out there with a fastball and then drop the curve right down in on your knees. Misses inside with a breaking pitch, and the count 2-2.
This kid hit an awesome shot, Don, into the red seats in left center field against Bob Shirley of San Diego.
Low, and he runs the count full to 3-2. Now the Astros trying to get something going. The Phillies had a chance in the second. They left McBride. Pop right side. There's McBride to the line. Out number 1. Now with 1 out, Art Howe will come on. Art hitless in the series, 0 for 7. He was 0 for 3 opening night against Carlton.
Why did Bill Burton send Howe up to hit when he knew Howe would be walked? Because he wanted Howe walked. He wanted to solidify his offensive position in that big inning yesterday when they won the game. He wanted the bases to be filled. He was afraid McGraw might tinker around with Bergman and get Bergman without scoring the run.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what Bill came out and said. And Howe goes after a fastball and doesn't get it. He thought that they might gamble and pitch to Bergman. Should they make an out without the run scoring, they're still set up in double play depth to possibly get out of the inning. So he just made Dallas Green walk Howe, and then the rest is history. Art trying to catch Schmidt back at third. Rose deep at first. Mike comes in just a little ways, now moves back to his normal position. The outfield, they play Howe to hit to the opposite field. Line down to left field line. Lonnie Smith, excellent speed over. Howe's going to go for 2. The throw is not in time.
Here it is, another look. Pitch right. The belt area was just what Howe wanted. Quickly picked up by Smith, but no chance to get Howe. By the way, as speedy as Smith is, do not think that he is a great left fielder. He is not. Indeed, in later innings, if things work the way Dallas Green wants, you may see Smith taken out because he is not the best left fielder in the world.
There were a few raised eyebrows this afternoon as the second guessers moved around, wondering why Dallas didn't move a defensive man out there in yesterday's game. But here's Jose Cruz. That's foul back and right below us.
Get up from under the table, Don.
0-1 the count. Cruz, 4 hits in 9 at-bats in the series with 5 base on balls. 1 ball, 1 strike the count. It's been seesaw back and forth this whole series. Both clubs with scoring opportunities, but they have been turned away. Good breaking pitch. 1-2.
Colton has always had great success against Gio Cruz. Not that great success against Cedeno. This is where they really miss Cesar's bat in that lineup.
2 balls, 2 strikes the count. Yesterday, Cruz was walked 3 times intentionally.
That was a nifty play by Bob Boone.
A great play, Howard, because that ball, a curveball breaking down and away. Look at how he short hops that just like an infielder. There's a chance for Howe to be on third. Got him.
We saw a feeble defensive swing there. Virtually no swing at all. That's the way Colton handles Gio Cruz most of the time. There it is again.
That pitch just wasted, made him chase the breaking pitch down and away. So now there's 2 outs for the Astros here in their bottom half of the second inning, and Luis Pujols comes on. 0 for 6 in the series, a couple of base on balls. Alan Ashby is still out. He's got that rib problem in the collision with Joe Ferguson. That's skied to right center. There's Maddox playable. And out number 3. So the Astros are turned away. And after 2, it's the Phillies nothing and the Houston Astros nothing. Before we go to the third, let's pause 5 seconds to allow our local stations to identify themselves.
KETV Channel 7, Omaha.
Bob Boone to lead it off, followed by the pitcher Steve Carlton, the leadoff hitter Lonnie Smith. No score, inning number 3.
You're not at a football game, ladies and gentlemen. They cheer in organized football cheering fashion for their orange team. Love ya orange, and they were cheering Houston Astros.
There's the strike by Rule. Boone, 2 hits and 11 at bats, hitting 182 in the series, 229 on the year. 7-2 at home. You've got to pitch well in the Dome. This is definitely a pitcher's park. 1 ball, 1 strike the count. Both teams threatening in the second, only to have Carlton and Rule turn them away. To the shortstop, Landestein. To Howe, out number 1. Here's Steve Carlton. Carlton went 0 for 2 in the first game that he pitched. We mentioned before, and we'll say it again, you've got to be careful with this big guy because he can get a hold of one.
And the Astros pitchers know it. In a very interesting talk between Joey Negro and Joey Sampeto this morning earlier in the dugout, they were both talking about how carefully all Astros pitchers pitch to the Philly pitchers.
Hit well center field. Terry Poole having to give ground, but he makes the catch, and that's out number 2.
There is Joe Negro, who, matter of factly, said, I didn't mind being taken out, but, you know, I've worked 11 and 12 innings before, Howard. I could have gone further.
You'll see that little silver round object in Joe Negro's hand. That is a counter. You'll see Mater D's sometimes use that in a restaurant. You'll see in stadiums around the country that you'll have counters like that, trying to keep an accurate count on certain things, and that's how they count the pitches of Vern Rule. And this is Lonnie Smith, 2 outs. He bounced to short his first time at bat. The count is 0-1.
Joe is praying for victory so he can call his folks in Lansing, Ohio, and say we did it.
1 ball, 1 strike. The infield straight away. The outfield, they play Smith to hit to the opposite field. And that is to the opposite field and a base hit. Gary Woods gets it back into Morgan. So a 2-out single by Lonnie Smith. The Phillies have a runner aboard. And we go to Pete Rose, who lined the Cruz and left, who made an excellent catch. It's awful hard to come in on those balls, Howard, on the artificial turf and make any kind of a diving catch. We saw Piniella in the series in Kansas City come in and try and do that.
And hurt his leg in the process.
It can tear your knees up a little.
But this ballpark can drive you crazy on defense, too, because somehow you get that mottled lighting through that mottled roof, and you lose vision on it.
Well, keep an eye on Smith. You've got the hole on the right side to hit through, but you've got a speedster at first. Rose, a switch hitter. Again, they will keep him close.
33 bases stolen by Lonnie Smith.
That led the Phillies. And an excellent base runner. Vargo calls time as Smith and Ruben Amaro, the first base coach, have a little chat. No score, 2 outs, Philly third. There he goes. The pitch is strike. The throw through, not in time.
No chance.
2 stolen bases by the Phillies, 1 by McBride, 1 now by Lonnie Smith, and both, Howard, have been on a hop to Joe Morgan.
No, he got a good jump, not a great jump. Good throw might have had Smith there.
There's another look at it. It looks as though he just about slipped. He kind of spun his wheels a little bit going off, but the throw was to the shortstop side on a hop, and Morgan right there just satisfied with making the stop of the ball. They've stolen 65 bases on Pujols this year, counting the 2 here today. They've been caught 18 times. 1 ball, 1 strike. On the steal, it was a called strike. 2 outs again. The Phillies with a runner in scoring position.
That's the futility I talked about in our opening, our pregame show. We had to wing that because the football game ran over. Dennis Lewin worked a miracle in the truck, holding together, keeping his composure.
1 ball, 1 strike, the count, 2 outs. Just missing with a breaking pitch inside, and the count goes to 2-1. Rule wanted it. Doug Harvey said no.
Everybody knows Pete Rose. There's not enough you can say about him. There's little more to be said about him. But what grit. His right ankle is so swollen, it's hard to believe he's out there playing. That's the result of the unfortunate accident that befell Cesar Cedeno yesterday. As Cesar was falling, he inadvertently kicked Pete Rose in the ankle.
You saw that figure on Pete Rose. That was during the regular season. A check swing, and he let it go. He caught it too early. He tried to jump out there, and he let it go, Howard. I don't know where that ball might have ended up. So the count goes 2-2.
You may be right. Let's look at it again.
There's no need to really try and catch it right now. That ball, if it comes down and moves out into fair territory, and there's where he's moving into fair territory, all he's got to do then is pick it up and throw Rose out. He's not even moving.
No, Pete was watching the ball, which is, to me, the big point.
So we'll see how big that play might have been if, in fact, it had have rolled fair. But it's 2-2, 2 outs. Smith at second base, no score in the Philly third inning. Just missing inside. You see Rose following that ball all the way to the glove, just ducking that left shoulder, the right shoulder, and tucking it in. Watch out, Pete. This is something. He has done this for so many years. Turns inside.
I tell you, Pete keeps crouching more and more at the plate in the field. Pretty soon he's going to be under the ground.
I
come out like a groundhog.
I was kidding you. I said the older you get, the closer you get to the ground. Full count, 3-2. Misses outside, and Rose is aboard.
I don't think they're sorry about that. They've had success thus far with Schmidt, but that doesn't seem likely to last forever. Still another opportunity for the Phillies, who are bent upon setting all kinds of records, if the past is prologue, for men left on base. This is the man who must come through for them. Remember that graphic I showed you in the pregame show, batting 200 throughout the championship series with men in scoring position. And that's their batting average as a team.
Mike Schmidt struck out his first time at bat. 2 out, 2 on. No score. Lonnie Smith at second base. Pete Rose at first base. The infield deep straight away. The outfield the same. Pops him up right side, playable. Art Howe says he'll try it. Out number 3, the Phillies are turned away again. In the inning, no runs, a hit. They lead 2 more. They've left 3 through 3 after 2.5. The Phillies and Astros, no score. Here at the Astrodome, with every out that Vern Rule and the Houston Astros record, this partisan Houston fan is just applauding, cheering, on their feet. And a reminder that this telecast is presented by authority of Major League Baseball and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of Major League Baseball is prohibited. Rafael Landeskog has scored both winning runs in the 2 Houston victories. It'll be Landeskog, Rule, the top of the order, Terry Poole. Landeskog at short this afternoon. The left-handed hitting Craig Reynolds out of the lineup. Landeskog, of course, a switch hitter.
Oh, this place is buzzing. These people are something. They've got their own Houston Astros fight song.
There's a strike. They count 1-1.
Now they get worked up with the organ. Way down south in Houston, baseball's come alive.
Breaking pitch inside. Landeskog, really a jack of all trades for manager Bill Burton. He started at short. He's played second. He's played third. He moves all over the infield wherever he's needed.
Pitching to the outfield. It's flashing orange and white.
Foul. Back out of play. The count 2-2. The infield, they hit playing to the opposite field, the same as the outfield. Maddox, very shallow right center. Lonnie Smith in left, the deepest of the three outfielders. They give him a big gap in left center. Bounce to Schmidt, the big hop. DeRose out number 1. Well, tonight it's a fun-filled doubleheader aboard the Love Boat starting at 8, 7 Central and Mountain Time. A newlywed couple's honeymoon cruise gets out of hand when the groom's friend shows up. Doc loses his heart to a beautiful passenger, and a frisky husband finds trouble when he looks for a little fun. Then on Fantasy Island, Barbie Benton and Connie Stevens guest star as two gorgeous showgirls who depend on tattoo to fulfill their dreams. Again, that's 8, 7 Central and Mountain, followed by Fantasy Island. It well left field. Going back is Smith. That's the pitcher rule, and down in Dead Man's Gulch, he hauls it down.
Dead Man's Gulch is right. How those balls hang.
That ball was hit well. Carlton threw it exactly where Rule was swinging, or Rule was swinging exactly where Carlton threw it, depending on how you want to put it. But Lonnie Smith, excellent speed, goes back to make the catch. That's a home run in Philadelphia, Howard.
Yes, indeed. Dallas with a kind of smirk. Yeah. Let him hold one of theirs up now in this ballpark.
Here's Terry Poole. He takes the breaking pitch for the strike. He struck out his first time at bat. 2 outs in the Houston third, no score. The Phillies with 2 hits. The Astros with 1. 1-1 the count. One ball, 2 strikes. Philadelphia leaving a man aboard in the second. They left 2 on in the third. The Astros had a chance, and they left a runner stranded in the second. Look out. A little check swing. Bouncer to Schmidt. Goes off balance, and they get him. Good play by Mike Schmidt.
Excellent play when you've got a speedster like Poole.
So the Astros are retired 1, 2, 3 in the third. And after 3, as you look at Mike Schmidt come in one more time, a good off-balance throw. They get him, and we are scoreless after 3.
In New York, this is Dave Dials. Number 1 ranked Alabama dodged the bullet. Meadowlands defeating Rutgers 17-13. Third-ranked Texas got by Oklahoma 20-13. Georgia over Mississippi 28-21. Stanford and UCLA are 7-7 in the second period. We mentioned Georgia 28-21 over Mississippi. Notre Dame and Miami in the final period now. Notre Dame leading 22-14, and North Carolina has defeated Wake Forest 27-9. Go back now to Don Drysdale.
Bake McBride to lead it off, followed by Manny Trio and Gary Maddox. McBride single, stole second, was stranded there in the second inning. Runs up, hits the bunt, and takes a strike. We will give you more college scores as the day rolls along.
Rutgers gave Alabama a scare. May have looked better in the Meadowlands than the Giants.
0-2.
By the way, what a game next week. The Big Bear with his Crimson Tide of Alabama against the Volunteers of Tennessee. Johnny Majors, 3:30 Eastern Time. Regional telecast next week. Other telecasts will be selected, of course, on Monday.
Line to left. Cruz is going to have to play it on a long hop. So Big McBride gets an 0-2 breaking pitch over the plate, goes to the opposite field, and he's aboard. His second hit of the afternoon.
He hit that beautifully. Now that's a hitter. That was hit scientifically. He went right with that pitch. You saw him just laid the bat against the ball. He is a hot hitter, as we have said, and now Rule must be watched closely. His past pattern has been to get stronger. Most of his runs have been given up in the first 3 innings. Let's see if that continues to obtain.
McBride stole his first time on base. He's 2 for 2. They will keep him close again. The Phillies have 2 stolen bases, one by McBride and one by Smith. There's our overhead shot from the gondola. Look at that lead. Manny Trio handles the bat well. Popped up foul out of play. Pujols back to take a look. That'll be well back into the seats.
Our gondola cameraman paid us a visit earlier, invited us up there. We rejected.
We quickly rejected. 0-1. Remember, we said yesterday you're looking down from the gondola shot that is 208 feet or about 18 stories high. Top of the dome. There's the lead, and they will move over there one more time. Well, our congratulations to Ewing Kauffman and the Kansas City Royals, the champions of the American League. He bluffs going. The butt is popped up foul, and it's back onto the net. And the count moves to 0-2.
Points well taken, Don. Kaufmans have waited a long time for this victory. They've taken enough bruises and enough insults for allegedly choking when they played the Yankees. They didn't choke. And you can't choke when you got a player like George Brett and a manager like Jim Fry, the little general.
Yes, sir. He did a great job. 0-2 the count. Rule taking a little extra time. McBride at first. Nobody out, no score. Philly 4.
Well, that speaks for itself.
That is unusual. McBride again bluffs going, and Pujols pitching out. I would not really figure McBride to be going really on an 0-2 pitch. You've got chances back there to do a few little things if you want to, and that's exactly what Louis Pujols was doing, pitching out. Now he will check over in the dugout, see if anybody wants to do anything again. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Manny Trio. Infield and double play depth. Billy Verdon keeping a careful eye on everything that's going on. He bluffs going again, and it's hit, and a fly to third baseman Cabell into left field. Cruz will get it back in, and the Phillies have something going. So Vern Rule had 0-2 the count to McBride. He got a breaking pitch over the plate. He singled to left. He has the count 1-2 to Manny Trio. He gets the pitch up over the plate.
Here it is.
Trio knocks it by the third baseman Cabell.
That's the point. He got the breaking pitch over the plate in where Trio could get good wood on it. In the meantime, as you've learned, when you hit those things on the carpet, if they're not right at a player, forget it, it's a hit. Right at a player, forget it, it's a double play. So Rule now is digging a hole.
Runners at first and second, nobody out, and the speedster Gary Maddox stands in. Gary struck out his last time at bat. He struck out with McBride at third and 1 out. Now Cabell comes up inside the bag at third. Howe shortened up at first. Landis trying to keep McBride close at second base. The outfield straightaway. See how Dallas Green wants to play it. Howe creeping in, and the throw back to second base, not in time. Landestroy trying to sneak in behind McBride. The pitch was a ball.
Let's look at it from overhead.
Now the pitch is by the hitter, and McBride has got to hurry back. Gee, those are interesting shots.
Almost, but not quite.
Those are interesting shots.
You wonder how the Phillies have been scoreless so long with the bat manipulators they have. Maddox can manipulate. Boa on deck can manipulate.
1 ball, no strike, the count. Here comes Howe again down the line as Rule backs off.
Same is true, of course, of the 2 men on base.
Maddox. Here you see Howe creeping in. Maddox, he's going to bunt, but he's going to hit and fouls it hard and deep down the left field line. 1 ball, 1 strike, the count. Gary Maddox in a game against Montreal a few weekends ago at Veterans Stadium was in this same position when he was in a sacrifice situation. He bunted down the first base line, and Cromartie made an excellent play to throw the runner out at third. Later they said that Maddox does not bunt down the third base line that well. The 1-1 pitch. Bunted foul. He was trying to go to third. A ball and 2 strikes.
Here it is again. And as we watch Maddox's failure to bunt successfully, you have to wonder, watching the flow of this series, how many times can the Astros get in and out of these situations? How many times can the Phillies fail?
1 ball, 2 strikes. McBride at second. At first is trio. Howe now with a 2-strike count has moved back. Cabell has moved back. And again, Vern Rule has 2 strikes on the hitter. Back to him. He short hops and he forgets where the buttons are. Oh, I don't know whether he caught it or not. If he short hopped it, and now we're going to have an argument. Just a moment. Did he short hop it or did he catch it? If they go back to second base, they got a triple play, depending on if he caught the ball.
Now this is something.
Doug Harvey and Ed Fargo, 2 of the senior umpires in the National League, having the discussion. Harvey was blocked out. He's out.
It's
a triple play. And the inning is over. Here comes Dallas Green.
We have seen everything in this series.
I do not believe it. Doug Harvey, which he had to do. He had to ask for help. He got it. It's a triple play.
Let me tell you something. If there is nobody breathing in Philadelphia, if there is nobody alive after this turn of events, you can understand it. It's unbelievable. Look at Pete Rose.
Now they're going to ask for more appeals, more opinions. The Phillies standing back, the 4 umpires doing the talking. Doug Harvey, Ed Fargo, Jerry Crawford, and Bob Engel. Here comes from the right field line, Bruce Froemming. From the left field line, Terry Tata. You will get all 6 of them in there. And now Pete Rose is asked to move back. Larry Boa is asked to move back. They will try and restore order.
Well, I can't get any opinions from Froemming and Tata, not from out where they were. What they want to do is assume control of the field situation. And I don't see any way in the world they can reverse that decision.
If they do now, you will hear some kind of a roar go up in the Astrodome, and it might be the 9th wonder of the world.
It would be an explosion, not a roar.
They will still talk. Bill Verdon watching what's going on. And it appears that the decision will stand. He is out. It's a triple play. The side is retired. And Ruben Amaro, the third base coach. He is livid. Let's look at it again.
Let's look at the replay now. Here. Let's see what shows here. Watch as closely as you can. ball. Now the rest of the play.
There's the looper.
Or did he?
Or did he? Now I don't know.
Or did he?
They go to first. They will throw to first, and that is the double play. Now there's 2 outs. The runner has gone from second to third already, Howard.
Yep, and watch how. We'll keep going on this replay. Now watch this. Pujols came out. Howe runs to touch second. That was it. And Dallas Green is enraged. Boa is livid, absolutely livid. But we showed you 2 different angles there. On one it appeared he caught it. On another it appeared questionable. Now let's look at it from behind again.
Look at it one more time.
That's the one that makes it questionable.
It's hard to say because of the length of his webbing. Look at it again.
But from this angle, it will appear as if he caught it. This would cause Pete Rozelle, the football commissioner, to tell you this is why you can't count on replays. There, it looked like he caught it.
It appears that he caught it. I believe it was down and buried in the webbing, Howard. I believe he caught the ball.
Well, that's the way it's ruled, and it doesn't matter. It's not going to be changed.
Right now, moving over to the first base dugout, the commissioner of baseball, Bowie Kuhn, in the booth just to our right. There it is again.
Go backwards. That's it. Now let's go forward. The webbing of the glove.
The glove is
that
on the
angle
ground.
appears to be under the ball.
They are talking on the first base side by the Houston dugout to the National League president, Chubb Feeney, the 2 senior umpires, Doug Harvey and Ed Vargo. Dallas Green will wait another decision. Bruce Fromming coming over. There's the conversation.
What may be happening is a confession by the umpires that there is doubt among them. This is not an easy spot for Chubb Feeney.
No, it's not an easy spot. I would not want to be in that spot. Chubb Feeney is saying that if that's what you said he did.
No, I wonder.
Oh, I don't know. The way that Chubb was looking, I wonder what's going to happen. They're going to bring the Astros back onto the field, I believe, and they're just going to call the runner out at first base, if that's what they call.
Well, apparently there was doubt. Then it'll be Verdon's turn to explode.
And you, not only Bill Verdon, but there's 44,000 plus people in the stands, and you know that they're going to explode.
I wonder if they're going to ask to look at the replay.
They're getting a little bit antsy right now because it's taken a while to get the Phillies off the field, and all of a sudden the conversation with Bill Verdon would mean only one thing, Howard, that they are going to exchange, I believe, they're going to change their decision. And now Bill Verdon's going to get a little hot. I'll guarantee you the quiet man will get a little hot.
Dallas Green stands aside.
Here comes
now the crowd's beginning to get a little hot.
Green is still, I think Dallas feels as though he has an upper hand.
Bowie Kuhn is very placid. We're not in the spot where we can see him, but this isn't his baby.
This is a National League decision, and I know the commissioner is probably just as happy that he does not have to make any decision right now.
Well, you can only guess from here, but I think quite clearly the umpiring crew confessed to doubt when they spoke to Chubb Feeney.
There's no question in anybody's mind that they confessed to doubt. I think that, first of all, there was doubt as soon as Doug Harvey went and asked for help from the first base umpire, Ed Vargo. The Phillies still on the field. Now, wait a minute. Now the Phillies are getting hot again. Mike Ryan, Dallas Green.
apparent. Now look at Bobby Wine.
Your backs are to the wall. You have not scored. The Phillies have been exasperated, and you know Dallas Green is livid.
Well, if it is officially a triple play, it's the first triple play in Major League playoff history. And it occurred in such an unorthodox way. Usually it's a line shot with the runners running.
Dallas Green can get you told in so many words, and he is getting Doug Harvey told right now. But it appears it's got to be, and Dallas kicks the dirt as he goes back down into the dugout. Well, I wonder what they're going to do with the runners. Now they're going to, McBride is going back to second base. They're going to call it a double play.
Aha.
Now how do they get that out of that?
It looks to me like some kind of compromise.
I don't know how they compromise that.
I guess the contention is that the umpire's indecision at the moment was what enabled Howe to have the time to get down to second.
That very well could be, and it might be that Doug Harvey going down the dugout might be calling upstairs. Dallas Green, whether he protested the game or not, I don't know, but maybe Doug Harvey is calling somebody upstairs to find out exactly what might be going on, or explaining it to the public address announcer, to the official scores, and then we will get word on that very shortly. But it could be because of the umpire's indecision, Howard, that they will allow McBride to go back to second base, and it appears that that's exactly what they're going to do. Well, I've never seen anything like that. But Manny Trio is out at first base. If that's what they're going to do, I don't see Trio out there. The hitter, should the Phillies stay at bat.
Well, wait, we've blown the picture up a little from the home plate camera. Now let's watch this nice and easy. There it is. I don't know. I just don't know either way. Would not constitute, I think, evidence in a court of law.
There is the National League President, Chubb Feeney. Bill Verdon, regardless of the outcome, has got to be happier than Dallas Green. Bill thought he had a triple play. He ends up with a double play. Dallas Green thought he had one out and runners at second and third. He ends up with a double play, a runner at second, and Larry Bowa, the hitter. So the double play will go 1-3 if you might be scoring with us.
We're trying to get official word on this as quickly as possible.
Well, there's Bake McBride at second base.
What they apparently decided was that the ball went back to second base after time was called after the execution of the double play on Manny
Trio at first.
Trio, yeah.
Now, right now, let's go down to Steve Zabriskie, our colleague, along with the National League President, Chubb Feeney.
Thank you, Don. Chubb, there was some confusion. You had a discussion with the umpires. The ruling now has been changed. What was the discussion? What was the original ruling? And now what is the ruling that is going to prevail?
The ruling now is Doug Harvey, the plate umpire, was blocked out, he says, by the base runner. He called it a trap ball. Afterwards, both the third base umpire and the first base umpire said the ball was caught. Since the play was made to first base, the runner was doubled off first. Doug Harvey's ruling is that because his call may have confused the other runner, he's back on second because he was confused. They made no play on him at the time. So there's a man on second and 2 outs.
All right, Chubb, thank you very much. National League President Chubb Feeney ruling with the help of the umpires that because their decision confused the runner at second base, that meant that the runner at second base probably would not have been tagged out even if the play had been ruled right in the beginning. And so they're allowing the runner at second base to go back, ruling that it is a double play, and the runner at second will be there with 2 outs. Okay? Let's go. Let's listen to what Chubb is saying with Harvey.
Tell him we are.
They're still having a discussion, but Chubb Feeney would rather that we not participate in it. If he has any more to say, I'll get with him in just a minute. Let's go back up to Don and Howard.
Very good, Steve. At least Chubby has explained finally what happened.
Well, that seems to be fair. I can understand the confusion in that if you're Bake McBride. And I can understand that we said that right at the very start, that Maddox had to block the home plate umpire, Doug Harvey. But Doug Harvey made the right move to start with. If you're not sure, ask for help. And he got the help from the third base umpire. And that third base umpire is Bob Engel. He got it from the first base umpire, Ed Vargo. And right now, let's go down to Steve Zabriskie one more time.
Okay, thank you, Don. Now, Doug Harvey has talked to Dallas Green and has come back over to President Chubb Feeney's box, and apparently the Phillies are now going to play the game under protest. Even though they got a little bit of the ruling back, they're still going to play the game under protest because they feel the ball was, in fact, trapped. Okay, back to you, Don and Howard.
All right, Steve. Well, one thing, you won't have to have anybody sending in any reports, I don't think, unless that's just a formality, Howard, because the National League president is sitting right here. You heard Chubb Feeney. He sees and he saw what went on and what is going on. The commissioner of baseball off to our right, Bowie Kuhn, watching the goings on. So here's where we are. We're in the top half of the fourth inning. We have 2 outs now. Larry Bowl will be the hitter and Bake McBride will be at second base. We have no score. Game number 4. The Phillies with their backs to the wall, and they are living in that third base dugout. Bull bounced to short his first time at bat, and should the Astros get out of this inning, you will hear a roar wherever you are outside of the state of Texas.
Nearly 15 minutes of discussion among them. Now let's see what the effect is, if any, on Rule.
Well, he's had a chance to warm up a little bit, waiting for things to happen. To the second baseman, Morgan. They're going to get out of it. They do. The Astros walk the tightrope one more time. Through 3 1/2, the Philadelphia Phillies nothing, and the Houston Astros nothing.
I'm back down here with National League President Chubb Feeney, and during the course of that last report I gave to you, Doug Harvey came back over and said the Astros are also going to play the game under protest. Chubb, now that both teams have protested, do you feel that there are sufficient grounds for both of them?
I think that we have very good umpiring crew out there. They know what they're doing. They saw the play as it was. Right now, I would say that there would be no protest, but I'd have to make that decision after the game.
Okay, thank you. National League President Chubb Feeney. Let's go back to the booth.
All right, Steve, thank you very much.
Excellent reporting down there by Steve Zabriskie in an absolutely unique situation.
For the Houston Astros in the fourth inning, it'll be Enos Cabell, Joe Morgan, and Gary Woods. Well, that old saying in baseball, if you hang around and watch it enough, you'll see something that you've never seen before. In 25 years, Howard, I've never seen that. Foul right side, Rose giving chase, McBride giving chase. That'll be back and out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
I've long felt that Doug Harvey is one of the best umpires in baseball. He's a stand-up guy. When his vision was blocked, he admitted it. And I think he comported himself absolutely properly in this situation.
I do too, and I agree also with Chubb Feeney that you have one of the most excellent group of umpires in this series that I think you could possibly put together. And you have a human element involved. They are going to get blocked out. They might make a mistake or two, but none of them are too big to say that I'm not quite sure, I need some help, and that is a great asset. The 1-2 pitch, foul right side. The Phillies with no runs on 4 hits. The Astros, no runs on 1 hit. That hit coming in the second inning, a 1-out double by Art Howe down the left field line.
All right, that incident now a part of the history of this series. It's been turbulent.
And just adds a little more exasperation to the Philly ball club. Hit well left field. Lonnie Smith going back. Dead man's golf but this is off the wall. That ball could have been caught. Cabell to second base, and he holds.
I told you earlier that in the later innings you might see Lonnie Smith taken out of there, that he is not a good fielder. That was the evidence. That ball was eminently catchable. Let's look at it again. There it is. Now Cabell got good wood on it. You know by now the ball hangs in the Astrodome. See that? It didn't even hit the wall on the fly. Here it is again. Smith gave up on that ball instantly, misjudging it. So the Astros get a big opportunity. As they seem to be playing with an additional ally in this series known as Destiny.
A leadoff double by Enos Cabell, and Joe Morgan will be the hitter. He bounced back to the pitcher, Carlton, his first time at bat. He'll be trying to pull the ball and move the runners at third and listen to the crowd. Steve Carlton had a long layoff also. He did not have that many warm-up pitches to come back. He could have taken all he wanted. He said, I'm ready to go. There's a strike in the count, 1-1.
Woods on deck. Good contact hit. Joe's task, get the runner over.
Hit well, left field, deep, hooking, it is foul.
But just barely.
Now the Astrodome comes alive.
You saw the chagrin on Joe's face. He thought he had it, but it hooked just foul. Last minute.
1 ball, 2 strikes to Joe Morgan. On deck, Gary Wood. At second base is Cabell. No score. Bottom of the 4th. Just missing outside. The count 2-2.
What a tough pitch to take. Dalton wanted that one so badly.
There's the eye of an eagle. The veteran, Joe Morgan. Bounce to the first baseman, Rose. He gets the job done. To third is Enos Cabell.
Did what he had to do. Now, Bill Burton had enough confidence in the youngster who was at Tucson to bat him 4th.
He did his job. He's got to be happy getting a pat on the back. He's saying, I wish that other one was a little bit fair.
That's what he's really thinking, Don.
Just a little too much top hand, he's saying. Dallas Green. He's not really thrilled by what he's seen in the last half hour.
Well, he's got to feel he's snake bit. The man's human. He thought he had Rule ready to go, a big inning on tap, and then an apparent triple play that became a double play. And then the left fielder, who he inserted in there in place of Luzinski, misplaying a fly.
Infield in, curveball low. 1-0. The outfield. Straight away, fairly deep. They play Woods to hit to the opposite field.
Just joining us in the booth at this very moment, Keith Jackson. Great to have him back.
Check down low.
Now, how are we going to explain what happened to Keith Jackson?
1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. Keith, I don't know if you're ready for this. You have just watched Texas and Oklahoma. You saw all of the things that happened in Dallas last night. This is unbelievable. I listened to it coming in the car from the airport.
It's incredible.
Bounce and a great play by Boone to save a run.
Do you see the way Boone used that entire body? Keep the ball in front of him.
2 balls to strike, 1 out. Here it is again. This is double tough. Oh. Great play by Boone.
Who would have expected a series like this between these two teams?
Low ball 3. 3-1.
Did you ever ever see a triple play become a double play?
Art Howe on deck. He has the only other hit off of Steve Carlton. We mentioned the double in the second inning. Carlton trying to think of everything that his years of experience can muster. That's fouled, and the count 3-2. The veteran left-hander Steve Carlton against the young outfielder Gary Wood. The Phillies down 2-1, the best 3 out of 5. Should the Astros win, there's no tomorrow. It would be the Astros and the Kansas City Royals. The Royals defeating the New York Yankees in 3 straight. Infield remains in 3-2 pitch. Low, ball 4.
And up comes the man who won the pennant. Really together with Joe Negro for the Houston Astros on Monday past. Art Howe.
At the corner, at third, with the go-ahead run. Enos Cabell. There's Art Howe. That's Cabell. And at first, young Gary Wood. The infield back, they will look for the ground ball in 2. They will try and get out of it. The Astros have walked the tightrope. They've reached the other end, and now the Phillies trying to do the same. Ball 1 outside. Carlton is not throwing that well right now.
That layoff must have hurt.
Outside, ball 2.
Struggling now, but at the same time he must pitch Howe carefully. A strong right-handed hitter. He's thrown 53 pitches, incidentally, thus far in the game. Remember, Jose Cruz is up next, and Jose is usually duck soup for Steve.
2 balls in, no strikes, 1 out, 2 on. Cabell at third. Woods at first, no score. Houston 4. Hit well left field. Ronnie Smith giving ground. That'll get the run. Both runners tag. Smith's throw, and he drops the ball. Here comes Cabell to score, and there goes the runner to third to throw. They get him, and now the Houston Astros are upset.
What you're saying is not credible.
There's the fly ball to left field. The runner Cabell is going to tag. Woods was tagging at first. Lonnie Smith is going to go to second base, and he loses the ball. I've never seen anything like that. I don't either. Now Woods is going to second. He's going to go to third. There's the throw to Smith. It's offline, but it's there in time, and now it's Houston's turn to argue. But it's the double play, the run scores, and the Houston Astros, lo and behold, through all the wild and woolly things that we have seen, they have taken a 1-0 lead.
Craziest thing I have ever seen.
Let's go back and look at what started everything off. There's the little humpbacker back to the pitcher. That is ruled. Runners at first and second, you remember. McBride at second. Trio was at first. The hitter was Maddox. Home plate umpire Doug Harvey said he was blocked by Maddox. They initially called it a triple play after he asked for help. Here it is again, enlarged.
All right, this is blown up, enlarged, as we just said. That's why the quality of the picture isn't that good. But anyway, you know now, Keith, what happened. Doug Harvey admitted his vision was impaired by the batsman. Let's watch it again closely.
I wonder even if Vern Rule could tell you whether he caught it or not.
Oh, I know what he'd tell you.
Well, so do I. But
under any circumstances, the Phils got nothing. And now Dallas Green must be wondering why he ever put Lonnie Smith in left field on.
Well, he's had a couple of funny plays out there. That will be scored a sacrifice fly, an RBI, an error on the left fielder to allow Woods to go to second base. And then the putout was from 7-5. That is from Smith to Schmidt. And we get ready to go to the top half of the 5th inning.
And
ready
the
to call
prodigal
it.
returns.
There he is. Here's Keith Jackson. And a little soft bouncer over to the third baseman. And Cabell makes the throw across. And you've got an out on Boone.
All right, here's the isolation and the tag at third. This is Gary Woods trying to get the extra base. Houston noted for that. The throw offline, but the play made by Mike Schmidt.
It was there in a tough play for Schmidt, and the third base umpire, Bob Engel, had a great angle of it, and he made the call.
And he made it decisively.
Yes, sir. No ifs, ands, or buts. Lefty Carlton. Steve at the plate. Good hitting pitcher. We established that in the opening game of this playoff series. Vern Rule hits the corner to get a call strike. 1-0. The Astros getting the lead, bottom of the 4th inning, and what will go into history books as one of the wildest 4th innings in baseball history. Roll to Morgan. Second baseman throws. You've got 2 out.
Now, Keith, probably before you landed, we established early on the past pitching pattern of Vern Rule. And that was that if you get him, the time to get him is in the first 3 innings.
Here's Lonnie Smith, and he's probably standing at home plate trying that sigh. I think just tells it all. He's saying, what in the world happened to him?
Why did he put me in there?
Well, the youngsters had a fine year for Philadelphia, and those funny things can happen. I'll say one thing. I was looking for the ball, and I thought I lost it somewhere. And I've seen those things happen to pitchers at times. Yeah. That's right. But never to an outfielder. No. It's to Smith, the strike. You could hear the roar halfway to Dallas. I bet you could.
What's going on?
I wonder, they might have told you to go up one more time and come around again.
By the time you got to Houston, the ball was rising.
That's down the right side, curving, just foul. Nobody aboard for the Phillies. In the top of the 5th inning, you've got 2 out. A 1-0 ball game. We mentioned in our first telecast from the Astrodome yesterday that no Houston team has won any kind of a championship way back. Double-A ball in the old Texas League. They've been trying for 19 years to build a franchise here that could get a piece of the action in the winner's circle in the National League, and this is their first real opportunity, and that's out of play. They're going to play a college football game here tonight at 10:30.
Oh, they turned this field over amazingly. There's a non-profit group that does it.
Rule comes in. I was leading up to that point. You know, it's a 1-0 ball game. We played 11 already. Who knows what may happen? We might still be here at 10:30 at night. The way these two teams fight each other.
Bite your tongue.
Texas A&M and Houston scheduled in here. Lonnie Smith at the top of the order for Philadelphia. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Oh, look out. Curveball got away from him. 2-2. Well, should the Astros win and a few of these Texas fans start to celebrate and come back out here around 11 o'clock, they might not be too sure what they've seen this afternoon. Well, I know now the answer to why Lonnie Smith dropped the ball out there. I'll tell you in a minute. That's hit on the ground for the shortstop. Throw to first. Inning is over. So Vern Rule turns the Phillies away in order in the top of the 5th inning. And the sound coming out of the Astrodome, I think, clearly defines for you the enthusiasm that apparently has just absolutely exploded. Astros lead 1-0.
Well, we're back in the Astrodome, and that graphic tells you exactly why the Astros are prevailing, at least at this moment.
Jose Cruz leads off, takes a strike from Carlton on the outside corner. Pujols on deck. Landis-Door will follow.
It helps when you get a triple play that becomes a double play, and the other team says it was a single out.
Breaking pitch sails outside. Now I can tell you why Lonnie Smith dropped that ball in left field.
After
Yeah, every kind of ball in Texas today is slick. After watching the Okies and the Longhorns, the Sooners in Texas fumbled that thing away, threw it away, dropped it, did everything in the world except step on it and kick it flat over there today in the Cotton Bowl.
What was the total number of fumbles?
And wound up 13 turnovers in the ball game.
This misses Cruz. Hilda.
3 balls and a strike. That's strike 2. Come back here, Jose.
He's not going to get it that way.
That's a little wishful thinking right there.
Hates to face Colton, I tell you. Well, who doesn't?
I was going to say, he's probably not alone. He's got a lot of company. 4 hits for the Phillies, only 2 hits for the Astros. Ball is hit to straightaway center. Maddox is there. 1 out. Tonight, fun-filled doubleheader aboard the Love Boat, starting at 8 Central and Mountain Time. Newlywed couples honeymoon cruise gets out of hand when the groom's friends show up. Doc loses his heart to a beautiful passenger. A frisky husband finds trouble when he... What? Then on Fantasy Island, Barbie Benton and Connie Stevens guest star as 2 gorgeous showgirls depend on tattoo to fulfill their dreams of a lifetime. Love Boat doubleheader starting at 8, 7 Central and Mountain, followed by Fantasy Island tonight on ABC. Come on, watch that.
I'm glad you had to read it.
That's a mess. I just tried that about an hour ago. Ball is hit sharply deep to center field. Maddox going way back. It is off the wall. Bounces away from Maddox. Pujols turning, going for 3. The throw not in time. Of all people.
Look at the pom-poms.
Maddox is playing very shallow, and Pujols got it all. We mentioned yesterday if the ball might carry anywhere at any part of this ballpark, it's just straightaway center field. Matthews can run like a deer, but he could not catch up with it. That hits halfway up the wall. Now comes back and gets over Matthews' head. That ball is crushed. That's 406 feet away. Off the wall by Matthews. Pujols had his neck bowed, head down, and was heading to third.
It took him a long time to get his first hit in this championship playoff series, but what a hit. And clearly, as you look at Gary Maddox again, clearly Colton does not have the efficiency he had before that 15-minute break.
It is Landesstoy at the plate with 1 out and Pujols on third. A chance for the Astros to go to a 2-0 lead. Left field, base hit.
This team can taste it, Don.
Not only the team, but the Houston fans as the Astrodome goes wild. There you look at it again, a line drive by Schmidt. He started the wrong way. He was setting himself, and then he could not get back over. I don't know if he'd have caught the ball anyway.
Now they're singing their fight song. Here come the Astros, burning with desire. Here come the Astros, breathing orange fire. And Dallas Green.
Ball 1. Vern Rule, the Houston pitcher. Dallas Green's got to feel like the sky's falling.
Oh, a local writer had a clever piece today. He wrote that the Astros have become chiggers.
Yeah, I saw that. Rule turns to bunt, pitches up high.
Everywhere Dallas Green looks, he sees these little bugs itching, clawing, biting, scratching. They're all over you.
Well, they've had the great misfortune of losing J.R. Richard in the course of the season. Yesterday, we lost Cesar Cedeno with a broken leg. They don't understand that when you lose superstars, you're supposed to step back.
Well, only the bottom of the 5th. This team, this Philadelphia team, won't quit, no matter what's written about them.
I guess they're calling it a compound dislocation. To me, simply put, it's a broken ankle, because he had to have surgery to place things back properly. And of course, he's gone for the rest of the time. 2-1 pitch, and Rule pulls his bat away, and the pitch
is called a strike by Doug Harvey.
You missed the ball rule hit his last time up. He really caught one, belted it to deep left field.
Carlton has now thrown 70 pitches to the plate.
Lonnie Smith caught that.
We're in the bottom of the 5th inning. He's gone. Doug Harvey calls him out. Vern squaring to bunt. Took the breaking pitch on the inside corner.
Well, there's where Bill Vernon is going to gamble all the way right here. He's got enough confidence in Vern that he's going to try and have him bunt with the 2 strikes, but all of a sudden Carlton throws in that deep cut and curve, and they take it for strike 3. 2 out now. With Landis-Stoy at first base, here's Terry Poole. Struck out and bounced out to the third baseman in 2 trips. Houston leading 2-0 with single runs at the bottom of the 4th and 1 here in the 5th. The appeal down the third base line. No, says the umpire, Bob Engel. Landis-Stoy, Keith, with excellent speed at first base. Carlton certainly aware of that, and has to keep him close. You've got to keep an eye on Steve. He had 7 balks this year. He had 11 last year, which is a major league record. Sometimes he doesn't quite step all the way to first base. Runner goes, pitch inside, throw through, safe.
And that's Houston's first stolen base of the championship series.
He got an excellent jump. There he is right out there on the carpet. Now Landis-Stoy with very good speed, and Bob Boone made a super release on this ball. It was right there, but Landis-Stoy just able to outrun it, and there's another great shot from that gondola.
Terrific.
How do you like that shot? Now still another angle.
There he is. The throw is right there to Boa. He slaps the tag down, but his hand is under the glove.
Well, that
2-1 now to Poole.
That gondola shot, that you can call proof.
3-0 to Poole. 3-0. Dallas Green, I was looking at the monitor. He just looks in a state of shock for the moment. I couldn't say I'd blame him. Fastball is too high to Terry. He's walked. Landis-Stoy at second. Poole now at first. On the base on balls. It'll bring up Enos Cabell,
who has become a hot hitter now. He started yesterday, coming out of that short slump. Went 2 for 4, 1 for 2 today. That was in the 4th inning.
We're going to get some action in the Philadelphia
Moreland there.
Right.
McGraw.
That is right-hander. That is Ron Reed.
Ron Reed.
Yes, yeah. I was about to say McGraw, as we said, not likely to see action today. Dead tired. Burned out.
Carlton's high and away to Cabell. Well, they were talking about tomorrow. They say it'll be Bystrom. The Astros say if there is tomorrow, it'll be Ryan.
With force and relief, if necessary.
Right.
Fouled off.
And it might be, I don't know if he's going to go with Bystrom or not. I would have to wonder where Ruthven is.
Yeah, me too.
I think Dick pitched a whale of a ball game.
It'd be a tough spot to put a youngster.
That's right. It would be an awful tough spot.
1 ball and 1 strike to Enos. Hit to center. Not too deep. Maddox lopes in, makes the catch. Inning is over. Exciting as Houston gets another run. After 5, lead 2-0. Back with more after this word from our local station. Inning to the top of the Philadelphia, near the top. Pete Rose in the number 2 spot today. Then it comes Mike Schmidt. Then comes Bake McBride. McBride hitting in the number 4 spot, with Luzinski not in the lineup. Pete Rose fouls it off. He's walked and lifted to left field. If we have game 5, if the Astros are not able to hold on to their 2-0 lead, game 5 will be on the air at 8 o'clock Eastern time here on ABC tomorrow night. Rose fouls it at the plate.
Oh, these fans right now,
with every strike and every out.
But Rule has to keep coming on now.
He's on the downhill side. He shut him out through 5. Pete has a string going, having hit in 12 straight League Championship Series games. Luzinski had his string of 13 ended yesterday. The 2-strike pitch to Pete. Fouled away.
Rule's been through a lot in his career. Last year he had back surgery. Later, weakness in the legs. Eventually lost some feeling in the left leg. And surgery on a ruptured disc.
Pete spinning away from it just in time. 1-2.
Pitched and win a ball to regain his strength. And he got it back. And he's been okay all this year, as his record proves.
1-2 to Pete, fouled off again. Pesky Pete Rose, pecking away. Got him. Again, that is something you do not see too often. That's a second strikeout for Vern Rule.
Well, if you know Vern Rule's personal stories, some of which I've just detailed, he is one of those remarkable stories that can occur in sports. He dreamed of being a major leaguer as a kid of 6, grew up in the Detroit area. Lo and behold, Detroit drafted him.
Mike Schmidt, strike 1.
But you'll recollect, Keith, he did not make it with the Tigers. They lost interest in him, and so apparently did baseball. Until finally, Houston latched on to him, and here he is.
Line score in the ball game. Schmidt hits it on the ground, and it's into center field for a base hit. Now it's McBride with Schmidt on first. One out of the Astros. A 2-0 lead with singles in the bottom of the 4th and bottom of the 5th.
In a story like Vern Rule's, Keith, you know there's always some guy behind it with the wisdom. I talked about how Bing Devine hired Bill Burton as a manager. Well, in this case, Houston, which has one of the smartest front office men in baseball, bar none, general manager Tal Smith, believed in him, gave the kid a shot at Columbus, moved him up to Charleston, and then brought him up to the big club.
McBride in the ball game, a pair of singles.
Now, Don, you're down 2 runs. Rule holding Schmidt to the bag. You run Schmidt, not a really good runner.
Not right now. You want that hole open on the right side to hit through, Howard.
Exactly.
You can't afford to have anything like that happen. Rule is high to McBride. Ball 1. Art Howe back at first base today. Morgan second, Landistor short, Cabell third, and Louis Pujols doing the catching again. Must be a picnic after 10 innings with Negro yesterday. Right at Howe, second one, back to first, throw it away into the dugout. McBride will go to second. There's a place where Landistor just got himself in a bad position to make the throw, because you've got to make the double play on this ball right here. That ball hit on one hop to Howe, He got a good, strong throw to Landeskog. Now, Landeskog, all he's got to do is come across, but he's almost, looks like he's trying to get the runner down at the same time and throw to first, and he throws it high over Rule's head. Vern, very fortunate he doesn't twist an ankle or something. You can see how awkward he comes down right there. Now we'll look at it again from our gondola shot. That's the shortstop, Landeskog, coming across. He'll be awaiting the throw from the first baseman, Howe. Now, he's got it in plenty of time. Now the throw is high. He was trying to get the runner down a little bit. And I don't think he had to get him down that quick because he was quite a ways from him.
He probably could have, well, he did have time to move on away from the bag, not involve himself with the runner.
Very easy.
You've got 2 out now with Manny Trio at the plate. And Bake McBride at second base. And Trio hits it in the air to left center field. Terry Poole cruising over, makes the catch.
This pattern is so unchanging, Steve, that it now seems to be etched in a tablet. We'll be back.
Bottom of the 6th inning, Joe Morgan, Gary Woods, and Art Howe. And they have not given an error to Lonnie Smith in that adventure that he had out in left field a moment ago. Well, the reason being Woods was tagging and going to second base, and they can't assume that he would have stopped him from going, and he threw him out going to third. So he advanced to second after the catch, and he was thrown out going to third, and they take the air away from Lonnie Smith. That was a ball that slipped out of his hands when he went to throw. And the count on Joe Morgan, 2 balls and no strikes. Rolled at third. Schmidt picks it up, throws it across, and it's a foul ball. There's an interesting call right there. That ball squibbed off the end of the bat. Morgan rolling hard away. They're not getting any argument from the third base coach, Don Leppert. That ball just cued off the end of the bat. Mike Schmidt, you can see that little jump. He goes to his left, then has to go to his right. That ball is slicing on him, cutting away from him. And there he makes the catch, and look at the third base umpire, Bob Engel. He's right there. That ball was behind the bag, so he will make the call. Now we get more action down in the Philadelphia bullpen. The count on Joe is 2-1. Saucier and Knoll. Left-hander, right-hander. And Carlton misses. 3 balls and a strike. Left-hander, Saucier, and a right-hander, Knoll. So you have the feeling that that delay and long argument took away some of his efficiency. I really do,
No
Keith.
question about it.
I think it took away a little velocity and a little bit of his sharpness. He was throwing well. And he did not throw that much to come back and resume play. But when you've thrown well over 300 innings, you don't really have to throw a lot. Your arm about stays ready most of the time.
Well,
aboard.
You're at the Cotton Bowl still when Joe almost had one out ahead of it. Just hooked foul at the last instant. We've talked about his leadership capacity. Just to show you what he means to this club, on August 14th, that was the turning point. He called a clubhouse meeting, players only, and told them we can do it, we got to do it, we got to start now. They went out and won 10 straight.
There you see Joe taking off the spike shoes and putting on the nice little comfortable slippers.
Now, is he starting something here that everybody is going to be trying?
Well, I don't know. Keith, when you run on this artificial surface with those spikes on, it feels like someone is driving nails up through your feet. It is hard, and that makes it a much, much easier feeling right there.
Someday there may be a rule passed against that, because if everybody did that, each game could be 7 hours.
The concession stands would not, they would be very happy to see it.
Gary Woods is up. Pitch is outside.
We have yet to see Bob Lillis slide.
I told you he'd have a scoop if he does.
I just want to see him sit down. They're giving Woods left center field. Maddox shading him well to the right in center. And
Pitch to Schmidt at third. Over to second. Over to first. No. They get Morgan at second. Manny Trio did not get a real good throw that time from Mike Schmidt. Mike had to charge the ball. We'll look at it one more time. Hit off the end of the bat. Now Mike charging and short hopping. Now trying to find the handle. Gives it a little underhand flip. He gives it to the outfield side of the bag. Manny trying to regain his balance. He's got an excellent arm, and he just does beat the play. Here's Art Howe.
Schmidt is a defensive wonder on that short hop play. He has scintillated throughout the series.
Boy, Carlton's got a good move. And he's got the knowledge to leave that left foot high, and even with that rubber. Jerry Kuzman the same. He reminds me a lot of him. The pitch was inside to Art Howe. Howe coming back to the lineup today has doubled and hit a sacrifice fly to knock in a run. Matter of fact, Steve Carlton will tell you that he learned the move from Jerry Kuzman. That's a wicked move.
And I will tell you, since you mentioned Jerry Kuzman, if these Astros remind me of any team, they remind me of, you gotta believe, the New York Mets of 1969.
Runner goes, pitch out, throw, no. Bad throw by Bob. He had it in a great location, the best location of any pitch he's had to try and throw a runner out on. He's jumping out. It's a pitch out. The runner had an excellent jump. Carlton took a little more time, and that enabled the runner to get there. I think that's where Gary Wood says, if you pick me off now, pal, you've got me picked off, but I'm going. Boa trying to reach back and come down with a tag, just a little late. And the offering to Howe is a breaking pitch that dips in low. They won't take any chances now, Keith. They'll just put him on. Howe's on. The theft of second by Woods, the second steal in the series for the Astros. They had none in the first 3 games. See, this is something that's uncharacteristic of Steve Carlton. He struck out only 3 and he's walked 4. Now, you don't see that too often. Jose Cruz bends it away with a breaking pitch, ball 1. In the first game, he had only 3 strikeouts, and he struck out a whole bunch, more than any left-hander in the history of baseball. That pitch is inside.
I told you that Cruz has a lot of trouble with Carlton, but if he can get ahead of him this way, he may get a pitch he can hit.
Well, he's ahead, all right. 3 balls and no strikes. Dallas Green's been peeking down at that bullpen. Starrett, the pitching coach, looking down. He gets the high cap sign that they're ready.
93 pitches by Steve thus far.
There's a strike. 3-1. Dickie Knowles and Kevin Sauché in the Philadelphia pen. Take a whipping and go out and have to pull out his ace left-hander, but he's going to leave the dugout and go to the mound. And whether he takes him out or leaves him in will remain to be seen. Looking to the bullpen, he's going to go to the right-hander. And he's going to have to take him out, and Dickie Knowles is going to come on. So we've got time out at the Astrodome in Houston. The Astros are leading the Phillies 2-0, and a new pitcher will warm up for Phillies. Young right-hander Dickie Knowles in relief of Steve Carlton. Here in the bottom of the 6th inning, you see his seasonal numbers there. He's making his 2nd appearance in the championship series. He pitched 1 1/3 inning. Gary Woods over at 3rd. Art Howe standing at 2nd, and Jose Cruz at 1st. The batter, Louis Pujols, who tripled and scored the second run for Houston. Swings and fouls it away. Now the numbers on Steve Carlton. He went 5 1/3 innings. He allowed 2 runs so far. The runners at first, second, and third are his responsibility. He threw 95 pitches, allowed 4 hits. He struck out 3, and he walked 5. They check it first. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Would you believe Steve Carlton leaving the game trailing? If ever I thought Steve would win a game.
1-1 to Pujols inside, a tight 2-1. This right here could be the biggest pitch of the afternoon for the Philadelphia Phillies. Reed is back up in the Philadelphia bullpen. Popped up, out into right. Back right. Runner breaks, throw coming, and it is wide of the mark, and it's 3-0 Houston. Now they've got an appeal play at third base. They will go over there. Pete Rose is going to go down. Everybody in the Philly dugout is up and pointing to the bag. But what they've got to do, they've got to put the ball in play and then make the appeal. Mike Schmidt looking at the third base umpire, Bob Engel. He will not say a word. The Phillies out, Bobby Wine out, Ruben Amaro out. And we'll see what happens. It's Mike Schmidt telling the youngster Dickie Knowles exactly what he has to do. You've got to get on the rubber. You've got to put the ball back in play before you can make the appeal. And we'll see what will happen. Oh, it may not be 3-0. After what's happened earlier, don't be sure of anything. That's right. We only know there's 1 out on the play. Now he will give it to Schmidt. Schmidt will go to the bag. He's out! How about it?
Oh, and the fans don't really know what's happened.
Left too soon. The inning is over, and suddenly the dome grows quiet, and the score remains 2-0.
I used to run through airports. Now I fly through them. With new Hertz #1 Express service, I fly non-stop from my plane to my car without stopping at the counter. If you ask for #1 Express when you make your reservation, your Ford or other fine car and contract will be waiting at the #1 Express booth. Once again, Hertz puts you in the driver's seat faster than anybody else.
Here's to good friends. Tonight is kinda special. The beer.
Building inspector.
Hey, what are you guys doing here?
I didn't believe you two could build your own house.
Yeah, well, don't look. It's not finished.
Well, I guess we'll just take our low and brown go home.
Well, maybe one quick look around.
When you want the taste of a truly great American beer, tonight, let it be Low and Brow.
What are you going to do when you finish this place?
Just what I'm doing right now.
Well, the quiet remains in the Astrodome. The crowd still stunned over having lost the run on the appeal play at third, as Woods came too soon.
That would have been some extra insurance run for Houston. But in this game, we've seen so much already. And Don detailed beautifully for you what the exact rule was. And the Phillies were sure of their ground, Keith. They're all out there.
Every one of them. That's right. All right, it's Gary Maddox, Larry Boa, and Bob Boone. And here's a halftime score from the West Coast. Stanford, 21. UCLA, nothing. Halftime.
I don't believe that. That's the team that ripped Ohio State.
Kicked them sideways last week. Maddox swings and it's fouled. Ohio State came back today. It was 63-0 over Northwestern, but Miami of Florida was defeated by Notre Dame 32-14 to end their undefeated run. Nebraska big 54-0 over Kansas. That gets a wince from Jerry Klein. Jay Hawker. 1-1.
And Texas 20, Oklahoma 13. The game seemed
21-7. 21-7. UCLA and Stanford. Correct. Foul back.
We had a very nice thing happen here today. Mayor Jim McCann of the city of Houston came up and visited with us and gave us, Keith, the key to the city.
Maddox hits it high in the air. It's hooking. Foul.
I'm very glad to note that fact because there was a story in a local paper this morning, the Houston Post, to the effect that the mayor had come up to greet us yesterday and that we had not let him in.
Pops him up on the right side. Pujols coming back for a look. It's in the crowd. Out of play.
We had no knowledge of the mayor's attempt to visit us. He's told us he had understood completely. We were in the middle of a telecast, so he greeted us today before the game. As simple as that.
Also happens to be the truth by Thunder.
Well, of course.
1 ball and 2 strikes. That's hit foul. Ruling on that appeal, and here's where your scorecard looks like a road map. It'll go 9-2-1-5. In case you were curious about how to score such a critter. That's going to come back and go out of play.
This is one of those situations where you normally say the batter is battling the pitcher. But you can say equally that the pitcher is battling the batter. He's got to keep getting that ball over.
That's going to hook foul, too. I told you Rutgers was going to give Alabama a ball game, didn't I? 17-13 that score.
The game happened in the Meadowlands. I
Yeah.
said while you were en route here that they must have looked better than the Giants.
Could be. We'll see Alabama next week in our major regional game here on ABC as they go into Knoxville against Old Foe, Tennessee.
That's a charge.
3:30 Eastern Time. And we'll have other games which will be published for you on Monday.
Johnny Majors is not easy.
No, sir. He had trouble today in Atlanta with Georgia Tech, though. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Gary Maddox. And it'll be Boa and Boone. Oh, he jumped on him, but it's foul.
He's jumped on a few of them. Rule really not fooling Maddox right now. The foul ball you saw a little while ago in the action in the Philadelphia bullpen, right-hander Ron Reed's throwing. Maddox is the 6th hitter, so you've got the pitcher spot, the 4th in the lineup coming up there. You see the big right-hander Ron Reed.
Rolls it toward the hole, but not sharply struck. Plenty of time for Fidel. Now there's a case when you're right on about 5 pitches and you hook them foul. Then you come back and just kind of cheat yourself on a fastball up and in on a little check swing ground ball. Here's Larry Boa, and listening, flying over from Dallas a while ago when that incredible inning was taking place. Listening to the radio description, I was surprised to see, 1, Boa still in the ball game, and 2, him not stricken by apoplexy. The way he was, well, I think the big thing, I think everybody, including the umpires, were in a little state of shock right there, Keith. Rule hits the corner on Boa for strike 1. He jumped up and down, though, like a little banty rooster. He had that number 10 bouncing all over that AstroTurf. Fouled away. Strike 2. Joe Morgan, short, quick throw to first, 2 down. stays like this to the ninth, you're going to see some apoplexy somewhere around this Astrodome. I know that. Boy, these people.
You'll see that. We will also have seen the most improbable ball game of our time. Do you ever play in one like this?
No, not quite. I've said before, I have never seen that play in over 25 years in this game. Bob Boone, Philadelphia catcher, fouls it back.
And as Rule spins his way through this Philadelphia club, again, this is the man who is assigned the task of trying to take over J. Rodney Richards' spot in the rotation. What a job he's done.
Oh, and he just keeps coming right at these Phillies. Philly dugout just a little quiet over there. Everybody up on that top rail looking out between the bars and just hoping that something's going to start happening pretty soon.
They got to be pretty frustrated.
Larry Christensen, Dallas Green, Bobby Wine, Gary Maddox, Pete Rose ducking down below. But they're still wailing up there.
2 out. And Boone pops it up. Shortstop Landis-Doy. Who gets him an order. In the middle of the 7th inning. Houston 2, Philadelphia nothing.
Redskins clearly are a tougher, better team than their record up to the moment shows, as the Bears proved they are last Monday night. Washington against Denver, Monday Night Football.
They're expecting a little snow, I understand. You'll love it.
Oh, that's great.
Landis-Doy, Rule and Poole against Dickie Knowles. Ball 1. Run down some other college scores as we have an opportunity here. That's outside. Penn State beat Maryland 24-10. Tennessee beat Georgia Tech 23-10. Michigan edged Michigan State 27-23. 2-1. Illinois beat Iowa 20-14. Purdue over Minnesota 21-7. Indiana 24. Wisconsin nothing. Iowa State 31 and Kansas State 7. That's loop foul down the left side and can't get it. If anybody's looking for a good football game tonight, who's not in the Houston area and doesn't want to come at 10:30 at night to watch the Aggies and the Cougars go at it, there's a pretty good one up at Waco with undefeated Baylor and SMU, a pair of unbeatens. And 2 strikes. Ooh, look out. Right past the chin of Don Leppert. There's Larry Christensen, big pitcher standing there. He pitched well in his appearance. Pitch is up high. Full count now, 3-2.
When did you ever hear a crowd like this at a baseball game?
Goes to the pitcher covering at first. Landis-Doy is out.
He can fly too, that Landis-Doy.
He can, and that was a good play by Dickie Knowles. Of course, that's one thing that you're taught from day one if you're a pitcher, and that is any ball hit to the right side, you've got to get over there. And look at the hand there. Right now, there you see Pete Rose coming up, and Dickie Knowles moving in a hurry, just does get him. As Vern Rule gets a big ovation.
Strike. Just incredible that Philadelphia has been shut out for 18 straight innings.
Well, this Astrodome, and I hate to sound repetitious, but it is a hitter's graveyard at times. Popped him up. Mike Schmidt at third. 2 down. It just can nullify, Keith, any kind of an offensive attack with power that you might have. And that's exactly what it's done to these Philadelphia Phillies.
Well, maybe so, but they've had the opportunities. This club has just failed to ever deliver even a fly ball. You heard Pete Rose before the game. He said, I can't believe we can't hit a fly ball when we need one.
Terry Poole, top of the order, outside. Stanford and UCLA. We gave you the halftime score. Stanford 21, UCLA 7. They're now in the third quarter, and it's 21-21. Bruins coming back.
That makes more sense.
To emphasize your point, Howard, that they've had their opportunities. In the 18 innings in which they have not scored, they have stranded 16 base runners. 35 base runners left in the series. Incredible. You know, you said 35 for Philadelphia, and on the other side, Houston has stranded 30.
The difference is they've been winning.
That's right. Poole's aboard. Here comes Cabell.
To embellish the point further, Mike Schmidt has had countless opportunities to drive in runs. He has not succeeded. He got a single in the 6th inning. The last hit given up by Rule. It came with no one on.
I'll show you how things turn around. Here you've got a runner on third base, McBride, in the very first inning, and second inning, I should say, with one out, and they strike Gary Maddox out. That's just the way the cards have fallen. Two out. Poole edging off first, and they pitch out.
Well, World Series. The owner of the Houston Astros is Mr. John McMullen, the principal owner. He used to be a partner of George Steinbrenner's in the New York Yankees. I wonder how much now he can taste that World Series, and if he's thinking, gee, I had wanted to go against George.
Strike called by umpire Doug Harvey. Make it 1-1. I would think there's a little shock running through the Yankee organization, as well the ranks of the Yankee faithful.
Well, look at Bill Burton. He had been the Yankee manager until succeeded by Billy Martin.
Bottom of the 7th inning here in the Dome with 2 out. Terry Poole on first base, and Houston leading 2-0. Runner goes, they pitch out, and the throw is not there. Larry Bowa thought he might have tagged him well up enough the line before he got to the bag. But right there, the second base umpire, Jerry Crawford, another good one. He is right there to make the call. We'll look at it again. They pitch out. Booney's throw now is into the runner. Bowa has to go out, tries to make the tag, and no, sir, he did not. There's another look at it.
No, he didn't touch.
Just misses him. Knowles has gone to 3-1 now on Cabell. And they've got Poole at the turn. They got Saucier in the Philadelphia bullpen and young Dave Smith in the Houston bullpen. Boy, that's a big run out at second base now for both clubs. Cabell walks.
And guess who's coming up? Mr. Professional.
Joe Morgan. Well, you have the right-hander Knowles, the left-hander Saucier throwing, Morgan the hitter, left-handed hitter, Joe putting those shoes back on. And that's the situation. If I were a regular season traveling baseball announcer, I'd worry about the trend that Joe's starting here.
Here they go. Standing ovation.
And now time call, and Dallas Green is going to go to the mound. I think he's just waited just enough. He wanted to make sure that Saucier was warming up and was ready to come in. Saucier turning around and watching the action with his hands on his hips, and that was enough for Dallas Green. Now Dickie Knowles will leave. We're in the bottom of the 7th inning, 2 outs, 2 on, and it's 2-0 Houston. Kevin Saucher, making his second appearance in the championship series, pitched 2/3 of an inning in the previous series in the 7-4 win by Houston at Philadelphia. So the young left-hander is on to face Joe Morgan with 2 out in the bottom of the 7th inning and 2 on. Poole is the man out at second. Cabell is at first. Ball 1. There's Poole. He has speed. And there's Enos Cabell. Poole walks, stole second. Cabell walked. Pitch is inside and low to Morgan.
Now the numbers on Nicky Knowles. He won an inning and a third. The runners on bases responsibility, did not allow a hit. He did not strike out anybody, but he walked 2. Inside. 3 balls and no strikes to Morgan. You've got Brewster and Reed, 2 right-handers throwing in the Philadelphia bullpen. Ron has been up 3 or 4 times. That nod was that he's ready. All 4. 3 walks in a row, 2 of them by Knowles, 1 by Saucher, and Dallas Green is wondering what next is going to happen to him. Well, he's waiting right now for Gary Woods to make his way to home plate. He doesn't want to go out there and make a move. Now he'll go on out, and we'll see which one he comes with.
Now, as we await this change of pitchers, a reminder that from the 4th inning on, this game has been played under protest by both teams, the Phils and the Astros. But as Steve Zabriskie reported via his conversation at that point over the whole confusion surrounding the triple play that became a double play on the Gary Maddox short line drive that was apparently caught when plate umpire Doug Harvey's vision was admittedly impaired, Chub Feeney made it, I think it's fair to state, clear that the protests will not be validated on either side.
Howard, I think if we got a little time right here, just for a second, I'd go back and update that for the people that might have tuned in just a little bit later.
Okay, Matt, just add this, Don. Chubb did say that he would not make his decision till after the game, but substantively, he did say that he saw no reason to validate either protest.
Scared me. I thought we might have to come back Wednesday. In the 4th inning for Philadelphia, McBride led off with a base hit. Trio led off with a base hit. Then Gary Maddox hit a little humpback liner right back at the feet of Vern Rule. The umpires, at first, the home plate umpire, Doug Harvey, could not see what happened, if he caught the ball or trapped the ball, because Maddox blocked his view, the batter. He then went to the first base umpire, Ed Vargo, who said he caught the ball. In the course of the play, Vern Rule threw to first base, and they doubled up the runner. Art Howe then went to second base, stepped on the bag. The runners were advancing to second and third, which would have constituted the triple play. But in the umpire's discussion with the National League president, Chub Feeney, as you look at home plate umpire Doug Harvey, they said due to the confusion of the play, they felt it only fair for McBride to go back to second base. They called it a double play, so they had a runner at second, 2 outs. Larry Bowa bounced out, and that was the end of the inning. And Denny Walling is summoned to hit for Gary Woods to face the big right-hander Ron Reed. Reed's second appearance. He was raked over pretty well at Philadelphia. Pitched 1 1/3. They got him for 4 earned runs. That's foul in the crowd. Terry Poole is over at third. Enos Cabell is at second. And Joe Morgan at first with 2 out in the bottom of the 7th for the Astros. They lead in the ball game 2-0. Reed is now the 4th Philadelphia pitcher. strike.
Well, this is such a big out. Dallas Green and the Phillies are still in the ball game if they can get out here with a score 2-0. Bill Burton trying to bust it open and add some more ice to that champagne down in the Houston dugout and clubhouse.
Bouncer to Rose, over to the pitcher. Reed steps on the back, and they slam the door. So they leave 3 Astros burning on the bags. 2-0 Houston. Back with more after this word from our local stations. The Astrodome sort of quiet now, with Houston's Astros leading 2-0 over the Philadelphia Phillies, and the crowd apparently just sort of sitting down to take a rest so they can scream themselves hoarse if their Astros can hang on for 2 more innings. Jeff Leonard has gone in to play right field, and the Walling pinch hitter situation for Woods. Leonard replaces Woods out there, and here comes Greg Gross now to hit in the pitcher spot for Philadelphia. Gross making his 3rd appearance. He had a sacrifice fly to bring in a run.
Remarkable thing about Rule, we'll see if he can hold together these last 2 innings. He's had 84 pitches, 63 strikes, only 21 balls.
It was Gross that knocked in the go-ahead, the 3rd run in Philadelphia in the first game, the insurance run. That's what it was. Pitch is outside.
Two right-handers for Dallas Green to choose from. Walk and Brewster in the bullpen.
One pitch to Greg Gross is hit up the middle for a base hit. So the leadoff man is on. And Lonnie Smith comes to the plate. Ruben Amaro, the first base coach for the Phillies. Lee Elia at 3rd. Special time tonight for Love Boat and Fantasy Island. 8, 7 Central and Mountain. And now there is a stirring around on the Houston side of the diamond as the bullpen goes to work again. Zambito, the left-hander. Smith, the right-hander. Here is Lonnie Smith at bat for Philadelphia in the top of the 8th inning. Gross bounces off at first, and Smith fouls it back.
Well, as much as the Astros have had things going their way today, they're still in the woods. You've got Cabell now at 3rd. He's got to give a little bigger hole to his left. He's got to try and guard the line a little bit. And you've got the first baseman, Art Howell, holding the runner. So they've got the infield completely spread.
They're going to still be thinking about the runner who left 3rd too soon.
Oh, that was a big run.
Rule's pitch to Smith is high. It's 1-1. On base in September, as you can see. Gross creeping out at first. Smith fouls it to the right side, out of play. Philadelphia pinch hitters now 2 for 5 in the series. Gross has both of the hits. Rule pacing himself. Being very deliberate. 1-2 to Smith. Hit toward the hole, through the hole. Had the infield stretched, as Don said, and it bounced right on through there.
Now, will they finally break through? And Dallas Green comes up well, leaving Lonnie Smith in there. He started him today, took the risk on his fielding. That risk did not pay off. Now, coming out.
Mel Wright, the pitching coach, is going to go out, and he's going to talk to Vern Rule. He wants to find out exactly how he feels.
In this chess game between the managers, give Dallas Green some credit there. He could have, needing a home run to tie, put Luzinski in at that point to pinch hit for Smith. He obviously never even considered it, Don.
I don't think so. I think what he needs is base runners. He's trying to look for a little rally if he possibly can.
That's true.
A home run there ties. Well, it's nice to be tied, but on the road, you like to go ahead if you possibly can. And he's trying to look for a big inning, and right now, he has got something started. Runners at first and second with nobody out, and you've just gone through your leadoff man, Lenny Smith, and you've got Pete Rose, and you've got your big power man, Mike Schmidt, coming up behind. Sambito and Smith in the Houston bullpen. Smith has been there longer than has Sambito. He was up before and then sat down, and now he's back up. It appears that Smith is ready because he's doing the watching while Sambito works. Pete Rose struck out his last time in the 6th inning. One foul. Well, there's something that's a little out of the ordinary when you play to tie on the road.
More and more, that theory is beginning to attract people. That you got to tie before you can win.
Now there's a lot of truth to that. That's an actual fact. It's just not.
If it's not,
it's right. You got to scoop is right. See that low number when Philly hitting with runners in scoring position in the series. One strike on Rose. Pulls it back. Strike 2. There's something you won't see Pete Rose throw too often as you look at the two runners, Gross and Smith. He's not going to take this pitch too often. But that is right there. Advantage Rule. He's got 2 strikes on Rose. Rose out at second. Smith at first. 2-0 Houston. Top of the 8th. That's inside and tight. 1-2. Houston, which has never won anything, winning the West this year. Literally 6 outs away from their first pennant.
It's a lot of outs.
It is. There are a lot of outs when you start thinking about it. Hit toward the hole, right side. It's in there for a base hit. Here comes Gross around third. He's going to score. Throw to third, not in time. Back to second, not in time.
So
2-1.
With that hit, everything swings. The drought is over. Look at the Philadelphia dugout. And 2 runners now in scoring position.
Well, here's a play right here where Leonard's got to know if he's got a chance to get Smith. Smith stops just outside of the reach of Rhodes. You can't let the winning run go to second base. The play is right there. The throw offline, and now Rose continues to keep right on going, and he's in at second base. And here comes Bill Verdon. That's going to be all for Rule. He has Smith and Sambito throwing in the bullpen, and the hitter for Philadelphia is Mike Schmidt.
So Smith will come on to face Schmidt, and Smith struck out Schmidt. A called third strike, fooling him in that critical moment yesterday.
Well, he struck him out in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia.
Yeah. Now you just wondered how many times you could keep the Phillies turned away. Pete Rose has now tied Greg Luzinski, hitting in 13 straight league championship series games. A standing ovation for Vern Rule. here, Keith, is that throw to third base and allowing the go-ahead run to go to second base. I did not see a cutoff man. Of course, there was nobody. Landis-Stoy has to be at second base. Morgan had been over diving for the ball, but Leonard has got to be sure that he can make the play at third base. There you look at it again, and here's a ball. You've heard the term in baseball. It had eyes. And this does have eyes. Smith holds up just a second. Morgan's out of the play there. That's right. That's why he's not at second base. But Leonard's got to be sure that he can get the man at third base. And I don't, with a good throw, he doesn't get him because Smith can motor. Rose just keeps right on going because he's got the play in front of him and he sees that there's no cutoff man there. That's a heads-up play on his part.
So in the nuances of baseball, Lonnie Smith moving to third as he did proved out for Dallas Green. See the way things even out in the game? First he cost Dallas in the field. Now he helps them at the plate and on the bases, which was why Dallas put him in. Things having a way of evening out. But now, middle of the Philadelphia order. There's Vern Rule, who has to be disappointed. And now the biggest play of all is the runner who left third too soon.
That's right.
Because Houston would have been in a very different position.
Mike Schmidt comes to the plate against young Smith. Dave making his third appearance. It was in the 7th inning of game 2 with the bases loaded and 2 out. Smith came in for Zambito and struck out Schmidt looking on a 2-2 pitch. Foul to the plate. Strike 1. You got McBride on deck, left-handed batter. Trio, a right-hander. Zambito is still out in the pen.
But then behind McBride, as you say, Keith, you've got Trio followed by Maddox.
Yep. Well, if he can somehow work Schmidt and get him, then he'll walk McBride and work on Trio.
Bouncer is foul down the left side, third base side.
But this is their big guy, whether he's come through or not. And he seems due.
I was looking through the scorecard, though, from that dramatic game of yesterday, and one of the biggest plays in that ball game was Pete Rose trying to come home from third. I mean, that changed the tone of that ball game if he scores.
We talked about it in the pregame show, Keith. I had Pete on. He explained the whole situation. But that's for another time. On the next plane.
The plate, and that one bit Pujols. That got him on the right knee. And those hurt. Here's the breaking pitch away. Schmidt just did get a piece of it. I believe that's that fork ball. Get him there on the instep, or
yeah, right instep.
Yep, that's it. That'll make the dogs bark a little bit.
Ashby with a cracked rib. He's sore. So they're putting some of that
ethyl chloride
on it to keep the pain down.
Freezes it instantly.
Lonnie Smith is at third. Pete Rose is at second. Greg Gross single to lead the inning as a pinch hitter. He has scored. It is a 2-1 ball game here in the top of the 8th inning. Book on Rule not closed until there is determination of what happens to the 2 runners on base that are his responsibility, Smith and Rose.
Suddenly, there's Chub Feeney with his daughter. He still has to make his formal decision later. Dartmouth College man.
That must have caught him pretty good. That ethyl chloride is not really taking that much of an effect right now.
Look like it doesn't. Update you on that UCLA Stanford football game. It was 21-7 at halftime. Stanford leading, but as the game has worn on, the Bruins have come back and lead 28-21 now. We're having trouble walking it off.
They only have 2 catchers left, and that's Alan Ashby and Bruce Bochy.
And Ashby has...
I mean, I should say it. The thing is that Ashby's got the bad rib.
That's right. The separated rib, and he's in a lot of pain.
Bill Verdon coming to talk to Pujols to see whether or not he can continue.
Suddenly, these Astros are coming down with a rash of injuries.
Lost Cedeno yesterday with a compound dislocation of an ankle. Get that ball off the inside of the foot or inside of the ankle. It can crack it, chip it.
It sure can. And we'll take one more peek at it. And he's not going to be able to go.
No.
Here, let's take a look at it. So Pujols has to leave the game. Foul tip that bit him inside the right foot. And let's see who they send. I would certainly think it would be Ashby. I don't know whether he can go. I think they... Well, let's see. You never know. There's Allen coming in. He says he's okay. That might be what they're talking about. Either that or he's going to go out and warm him up, or he's going to look for some more gear. Don Lippert down there. Nope, he's not going to come out, Keith.
No,
he's just going to come out and warm him up. He
so
said
it's going to be Boucher. Boucher.
Boy, he's a big guy, too. Boucher back at the plate now to do the catching for the Houston Astros. Alan Ashby can't go, and who knows how severe the injury to Pujols may be.
How abruptly a massive swing in team fortunes has come about. Houston riding the crest. And then suddenly the hits against Rule. Even before that, a runner leaving third on a sacrifice fly too soon, occasioning a double play instead of a Houston run. And that inning might have still been going on. And
if needed, game 5 tomorrow night, 8 Eastern time. We've got a 2-1 ball game now. Nobody out. Base runners are Lonnie Smith at third, Pete Rose at second, Mike Schmidt the batter, and a 2-strike count on Schmidt. Boucher is ready now and back at the plate, and we'll take a couple of throws here from Smith to get the feel of it.
He's a huge target, I'll say that.
He really is. Yeah, facially, he reminds me a lot of Russ Francis of the Patriots.
That's true. Number 81.
Yes, sir, and he's about as big.
The all-world tight end.
All right, now Mike Schmidt gets back into the batter's box with an 0-2 count. He can get the ball to the outfield. We'll have ourselves a tie ball game. Pitch is outside. Bounces away from Boucher.
Boy, there's a case for the 2 youngsters. They've got to get their signals together. You look at Smith at third. It's a tough situation for this young man coming in here. You know, you're in the game to a point to where you're watching what's going on, but to sit and work on the hitters, watch their approach to pitches throughout the course of a game when you're not back there, and he's only in 22 games last year. You've got to have the youngster on the mound that's got to have the confidence in the catcher.
1-2 pitch to Schmidt is outside. It's 2-2.
Here's a case where you have a young man by Dave Smith, where he might have all the confidence in the world in Ashby and Pujols, because he might say, well, they've been around long enough to where I'll just go along with what they're called, and if I don't like it, I'll shake him off. Now he might have to start thinking a little more for himself. Well, he had Mike Schmidt, 2 strikes. Now he's going to 3-2 with him. is open. McBride is on deck. And left-hander Joe Sambito throwing in the Houston bullpen. Up the middle. Morgan has to go to first. Runner scores. Third, Smith, and we're even at 2. Joe Morgan made a mistake because he thought about going to third, and Mike Schmidt, for a big man, can move down the line. Morgan got infatuated with Rose going to third, and by the time he looked to go to first, he did not have a play, not even a throw. He was coming across, looking toward third all the way, and by the time he decided to try to bat first, just simply was no time, because, as you said, Don, Schmidt is quick for a big man. That's right over the mound. Now, if he goes over there, he's got to play it first base all the way, but he looks at third, and by the time he does that, there is no chance in the world.
All of which shows you that it happens to everybody. You can be the complete professional, but you're human. There's Joe. And he's thinking about what he just did, and he can't undo it, and he's sick about it, but that's the way it is. Another look at it. You'll see Schmidt in the background on this one.
That's the high hopper over Smith's head. Morgan looking at Rose, looking, a little skip hop, and now by the time he looks at Smith, he says, I can't make the play, and can't. And so the Phillies have scored 2 runs in the top of the 8th inning. Still nobody out. Pete Rose is over at third. Mike Schmidt is on first, and Joe Sambito has come in to pitch. Well, it makes you stop and think. You want to just reach down and just take a bite right out of that glove if you can, but things like that happen, and Howard, as you say, it happens to the best of them. And it just happened to Joe Morgan.
What happened was, Joe did become infatuated with third. Second, he underrated Schmidt's speed in going down the line because he thought he still had control and had time to throw to Schmidt. He made a mistake in judgment there.
All right. Greg Gross single to lead the inning. Lonnie Smith single. Pete Rose single. 2 runs have scored on Mike Schmidt's adventure with Joe Morgan.
And you are bearing witness to one of the most wildly improbable games in recent baseball history.
And don't forget, it is being played under protest by both managers.
And Andujar and Tug McGraw, would you believe, working in the Philadelphia bullpen.
And here is Big McBride against Sambito. Correct. There's Tug McGraw, who worked long yesterday. Well, he's got all winter to rest.
He's a great kid. He came out today. He saw Bill Verdon. He said, I hope you win it if we don't.
That's strike 2. Here's a tough kid out on the mound.
He is.
In the same situation at Philadelphia. Big McBride was the hitter. He got 2 quick strikes on him and then got him on a high fastball. He's got, and they were both previous, the 2 pitches were breaking pitches. Now let's see if they change their way of thinking and what McBride might be thinking and what Sambito might be thinking.
It might be wrong for either of them to think. Throw the ball, let him hit it.
Runners are on the corner. 2 runs across for the Phillies. We're all tied at 2. Infield in. Nobody out. Foul back.
You said Joey's a tough kid. Born in Brooklyn. Then moved to Bethpage, Long Island. Went to Adelphi University, which turned out the man who performed the greatest athletic achievement, my friend, you have ever witnessed, or I, and ever will witness. Bob Beeman's leap.
That's right.
In the Estadio Olimpico in '68.
Sambito with a 2-strike count on McBride. Outside. 1-2. He had a good swing at that high fastball. Now he's missed with a fastball. Here's where you get the guessing game going between pitcher and hitter. The first 2 strikes on, and McBride a very weak swing.
But now, in Dallas Green's words, a patient, experienced hitter, Manny Trio. And this is where the mistake on Schmidt killed Houston.
Got a couple of tough guys, I think, here in Trio and Maddox. McGraw continues to throw in the Philadelphia bullpen. Andujar. I'm going to see what happens here because Bill Verdon called the catcher over. Bochy to talk to him, and I wonder what might happen here. You could see a squeeze. We mentioned before, we talked to Dallas Green. He said, I thought about a squeeze with Trio in Philadelphia, but he said, I was not sure of the control of McCourty. Howe's holding the runner at first. Trio steps into it and takes it inside. The infield now, Keith, moving back into that double play positioning. Eye on Rose at third. He's still on the dirt. Trio bangs it foul down past third base. Into the bullpen. Howard, now you're in a position that Pete Rose talked to you about on the pregame show. Runners at first and third, 1 out. He has got to go. He cannot hold his ground now. He has got to go and make them come to the plate on him and possibly, you know.
Even Bill Verdon agreed with him. Manages the same way Dallas Green does. Go on contact. That's the order. You take a walking lead.
Count. Zambito looks at first, cuts back at third, pitch is fouled away. One and two to Manny. Pete at the moment is not adventurous at third.
Looking back, 2 ground balls that, as you say, had eyes, have been the key to this inning. Pete Rose's, which flitted into right field for a single, and Schmidt's, a bouncer over the pitcher's head.
And the Phillies will say it's about time, isn't it? 1-2 to Manny. Punch to the right side. Leonard. He caught it. And Pete Rose comes racing in from third. Now they're going to make it a play at first base because they said that he did not. The runner at first base went to second base and they double him up. I don't believe
this game. Schmidt, I don't blame you.
Mike Schmidt standing at second base.
The whole place is dumbfounded.
Mike Schmidt went to second base. They throw to first base and they double him up.
This is a championship playoff series, ladies and gentlemen, and nobody knows what's happening.
But the run scored. Run scored from third. Mike Schmidt is still standing dumbfounded out at second base. 3-2 Phillies. All right, Trio hits the ball to right field. Leonard comes in. Now watch the umpire. Leonard reaches down. Looks like he trapped it. Umpire's arm went up in the air. Rose tagged at third. He comes racing in and he scores. That's 2 out on that catch. Schmidt, on the other hand, goes on to second. He's standing there. Catcher has the ball, throws it back to first. They call Schmidt out. Well, that's just routine now, except if you're Mike Schmidt. And Mike is out there. He thinks the ball is trapped. Here comes Leonard. Now look at the umpire right there. We kept going a little bit further. You'd have seen Fromming calling them out. We'll get it back and we'll show you again. Here's Mike. He sees a line drive sinking and tailing, sinking. Now he wants to go back. Nope, he said he trapped it. In Mike's mind, he trapped it, but not in the mind of Bruce Fromming. Now here's Mike rounding the bag. He sees, okay, he's happy for Rose to score.
They had to come out and prize him off the bag, too. Pry him away.
There's the angle again. Leonard coming on and making a fine play. And it was just because he was so off balance. Watch the umpire. There's Fromming up in the air. He goes.
I'll tell you, he had full vision on that play, Fromming. He was in front of the play, not behind it.
And in perfect position. There's the new pitcher and Warren Brewster. I don't believe it.
I should have stayed in Dallas.
They call this thing improbable. It is impossible. Now let's see if Houston can come back.
Phillies leading 3-2 with Houston coming up in the bottom of the 8th inning.
And in the oddities of baseball and the contradictions, as Leonard made a great play there on the catch, it was Leonard whose throw to third, when he couldn't get Lonnie Smith, really set up this inning.
All right, it's Art Howe, Jose Cruz, and Luis Pujols. Spot, which is now Bochy, since Pujols had to leave with an injury to his right ankle or right foot. Alan Ashby with separated rib or crack is too sore to play. And Warren Brewster delivers. Howe hits it high in the air to the right center field area where Gary Maddox roams, and you've got one out.
Well, let's look at the catch again. Slowly now. Appears to be a trap from that angle.
You know what's so hard to tell is those outfielders have such big gloves in the webbings as they flop around. Yeah, that's what we got on the pitcher rule.
Cruz hits it to center field. Maddox has it, 2 down.
They got baskets out there now. They've gone away from the old motorman's gloves.
And all of the elation of just a few moments ago suddenly turned into gloom. You can feel it.
Bochy coming up. Phillies lead 3-2.
And in Philadelphia, there is life.
And the umpires are saying, why us, Joe?
Yeah, we have next October off. 2 out, swing and a miss, struck 1. Warren Brewster is the 5th Philadelphia pitcher. Two strikes. Brewster skipping right along here. He's got a 2-strike edge on Bochy. He's got 2 out. Comes outside with that one. Punch to the right side, flag down by Trio for the 3rd out. So Brewster is very efficient in the bottom of the 8th inning, getting the Astros in order. He threw 6 pitches. Phillies lead 3-2. I think wacky is a word for this one. Have exercised the rule book in total and may have to go to the courthouse to get a decision in the ultimate. But right now, the Phillies lead 3-2 and send Maddox, Boa, and Boone up. I'm going to take a hard look at that catch, quote, trap out in right field.
We're going to blow it up. Watch again closely. Blowing it up, you get this kind of glazed picture.
Looks like a trap to me.
Well, Ruben Amaro went at Fromming between innings.
Maddox up there, swings and misses against Zambito.
Fromming's a tough cookie to go against. He told Amaro, you come one step closer. Goodbye, baby.
You got 6 of them out here that are tough cookies. And they're all excellent umpires. I've got to say, I can't believe I've ever seen any more adversity in a game. And honestly, honestly, Howard and Keith, I think it's been handled excellent. I'll tell you, if the Phillies were still trailing off that play, we'd still be arguing. Well, that would be. Maddox hits it to the right side for Leonard. One out.
We'll take still one more look at that catch. Afterwards, Chubb Feeney will call a seminar for his umpires tonight.
Now, think of the big webbing that he has. Now go forward. Does it bounce? Dennis Lewin is saying it bounces. Well. Switch hitting Larry Boa up there now. From the right side against Zambito. Phillies 3 runs, 9 hits. Astros 2 runs, 4 hits. That's foul. Boy, those have been 2 tough calls, though. I mean, those balls that have gone right down towards the webbing, short hop that close, or if they have been short hop, if they haven't, they've been caught or whatever. Unbelievable. On ABC, the lineup tonight, Love Boat, Fantasy Island, 8, 7 Central and Mountain. Got a little piece of it, but couldn't flag it down as it goes into center for a base hit for Boa. And the Phillies now are in double figures in base hits with 10. Well, who do you look at tomorrow? Ruthven and Ryan? I got to think Ruthven, Don. I'd be very surprised if he comes with Washington. I believe so. And you know Ryan. Here's Bob Boone, the catcher. Green's got a whole squad down there in the bullpen warming up. He's got Vukovich, he's got Unser, he's got McGraw. To make some defensive changes. That's McGraw. That's Vukovich playing catch with Unser. Brewster is on deck. Pitch to Boone is low inside, ball 1. The stakes are so high and the events today have been so uncommon. Against the wall and shoot you. You got to come back out here and play number 5 tomorrow.
That's right. That's a startling observation.
That's some people. Pitch is low. Some purpose in the bullpen.
No matter what the sport, it's mistakes that beat you. The manager drills and drills his team to play mistake-proof baseball. But look at the mistakes here. The runner leaving third too soon. Leonard's throw after his catch. Joe Morgan mistaking Schmidt's speed.
And in a series like this, all the importance placed on it, all those mistakes so magnified. Having trouble with Boone. Boone only 2 for 14 in the series and hitless today. And Zambito has gone to 3 balls and no strikes.
It's the first time you've seen this flawless Houston defensive team make these mistakes. There's a strike. So, my friend, they are no longer flawless.
hit hard, looking down the left side. Foul.
And that is just foul. Booney, he's saying the same thing that Joe Morgan said. Why? Too much top hand.
So back comes Bob. 3-2 with Boa at first. Phillies lead 3-2. Top of the 9th inning. There's nobody in the Houston bullpen. Runner goes, pitch foul. Score on that Stanford UCLA game. Bruins won. UCLA 35, Stanford 21.
You know, on the play that Gary Woods left third base, Howard, I can actually see how he could have left too soon and wanted to really get as good a jump as he possibly could, because that ball was not hit that far to right field. Big McBride appeared that he was really getting himself in a great position to throw. As it turned out, the throw was up the line a little bit off to the right side, but you can't anticipate that when you're standing at third, and he just tried to get as good a jump as he can, and he left too soon.
Zambito breaks the moment by stepping off the pitching rubber. Boa creeping out. Full count. Boa goes. Pitch swung on this. Throw to second base. Morgan high. Reaches. No.
Boa gets a good jump. The throw was up into the runner, and little Joe had to go up in the air. By the time he got down, he could not get down quick enough to make the tag of Boa going by. We look at it from our overhead camera. Larry trying to pick up the ball, and now it's just everything for the bag. A good slide. That was what enabled Boa to get in there. He made an excellent slide.
But a good throw gets him.
Oh, yeah, good throw gets him.
Without question.
All right, Brewster will hit. 2 out. Pitch is outside, corner to Brewster for strike 1. It's going to be Houston hitting in the bottom of the 9th. With the Phillies on top by 1 will be the bottom of the order to start it. The first 2, Landestor, the pitcher spot. Then they'll go to the top. Strike 2.
Keith, if he gets Brewster out here and the Phillies don't score, you're going to hear the loudest 9th inning you might have heard all day long.
Kind of interesting little fact here, too. The Phillies are now 7 out of 9 in stolen bases. Boa's theft to second. Got him. And so the Astros come up with their last opportunity, trailing through 2. We'll be back after this commercial and a word from our local station. Phillies have a 3-2 lead, the final at-bat for the Houston Astros, unless they come up with something to tie here in the bottom of the 9th. It's Landestor to lead it off. The pitcher spot, top of the order pool. Game 5, if needed, will be tomorrow night, 8 Eastern time. And as Landestor comes to the plate, the crowd comes roaring to its feet. Brewster's outside.
Well, Unser in left field. Ellis Green not risking Lonnie Smith's fielding at this point in the game.
Inside.
He was hurt by the fielding early in the game. He did get the running and the hitting that he wanted from Lonnie in the 3-run rally 8th inning.
Andujar up in the Houston bullpen. Low ball 3. bullpen, standing and watching, ready if needed.
McGraw.
Right. He's been throwing for quite a while. He could come if needed. Landis on.
This crowd trying so desperately to make itself a factor in the game. And while they say, no, a crowd isn't a factor in the game, it is.
Zambito is walking over now to talk to Don Leppert. It's abundantly clear what they're talking about, I am sure. Get him to second.
I have to ask, is Zambito that good a buncher that they've got nobody better in the dugout to move him over? I don't know. Burton, he's the man. On the record, I haven't seen a Zambito bunt sacrifice this entire season.
Nope. He misses on it. Strike one.
There's virtually no element that can happen in a baseball game that hasn't happened here.
Gets it down. Schmidt throws to first. He does it. He moves him over.
He did it, and Burton was right again.
What a baseball game. It's incredible.
It's insane.
All right, it's Terry Poole walking out.
We're in Looneyville. Now let's watch Dallas Green.
McGraw is out there throwing. Green has not moved.
Poole has been a tough cookie in the whole series. No hits today, but 2 walks.
He's going with Brewster. Pitch is low. Landis representing the tying run at second. 1 out. Cabell on deck. Ball is drilled to the right side. It drops in front of McBride. Here's the runner turning for the plate. Here's the throw. And he scores.
Terry Poole, so consistent throughout this series. In this loony, in this wacky, in this crazy game. The never give up Houston Astros come back, and look at this crowd.
Pitches out over the plate, and he just hooked it on a line right in front of McBride. McBride's throw comes in. Rose grabs at it here, intending obviously to hold Poole at first base.
There's another angle, Keith. The ball out over the plate, as Keith said. Hit on a sharp line. Reed thrown in. Off, well, no chance.
We're tied at 3, and here comes Dallas Green out of the dugout to the mound.
And this is what Green has wanted to avoid. How much is left of Doug McGraw's arm? That's why he stayed with the kid as long as he did. And yet, if you want a guy for 1 pitch against a left-handed hitter, you feel you have to go with Doug McGraw. Now, what is happening here? He's still going with the kid. Cabell, a right-handed hitter. Bert doesn't like to play hit and run. In this situation, Keith, he might. Because to have Cabell bunt needs a certain walk to Joe Morgan. And it's Morgan you want at the plate in a hitting situation where they can't walk.
The National League pennant's on the line right here. One out. Poole at first. One in to tie at 3. Cabell the hitter. Brewster on the mound. Cabell has all of left center. He can dump it in there. It'll roll and roll and roll. They pitch out. 1-1.
If you just tuned in, it is virtually impossible to reset this scene in its entirety. But we are in the bottom of the 9th. And Houston has just tied the game. 3-3. They've got a man on first and 1 out. And here's Keith Jackson.
Cabell swings and misses on a pitch outside. Incidentally, that was Sambito's first sacrifice of 1980.
Oh, I tell you, Burton knew something.
Inside. 2-2. Landeskog walked to lead the inning. Sacrificed to second by the pitcher Sambito. That keeps him in the game if it continues. Ooh, then single sharply to right. Landeskog scored with his good speed from second to tie after the Phillies had scored 3 in the 8th. Runner going, Cabell swings. It's looped out to right for McBride. Fake hurries back to first base, bounce to Rose, and they've got him.
I don't believe that. A 4th crazy mistake. Unbelievable by the Houston Astros, Terry Poole. He ran unseeingly. Watch it again. And he made a double play possible, and again we go to extra innings. 3 times in a row. Now we isolate on the runner. You're not going to believe this.
Oh, my goodness. I have no explanation for it. I'm not even going to try. After 9 innings of play, the score. Phillies 3, Astros 3. Well, for the 3rd time. The top of the order coming up for the Phillies now. Hunter, Rose, Schmidt.
One of the people in the arena is Jim Lovell, the former astronaut, who now owns a telephone equipment company in this town and is one of the owners of the Houston Astros. When he was in outer space, it was never like this.
It's nonsense. From Sambito is ball 1. Well, I'll guarantee you the 2 athletic contests that I've watched today have been different. You don't expect 14 turnovers in Oklahoma, Texas. You certainly don't expect this kind of happening at a championship series of the National League. 2 balls and no strikes. We've put another championship series record in the book. 3 of them now. 10, 11, and now this one.
rookie from Brooklyn, with a touch of John Travolta in him, working on his own Saturday Night Fever.
Oh, come on. You've been down here in Texas too long. 3-2.
They never get out. We may never leave this place.
Well, I tell you, these two teams have fought each other. It's just incredible. The doggedness of both of them, the character of both of them. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Well, we're now in the 10th inning. It's now past 7 o'clock in Houston, and Texas A&M and the Houston University Cougars are scheduled to play football here tonight at 10:30. It's now past 3.5 hours for the baseball game. One out in the top of the 10th inning. Pete Rose hitting from the right side against the left-hander, looks it low.
You staying for the football game?
I'm not sure I can handle 3 events in a day. Love Boat doubleheader, Fantasy Island later on the West Coast tonight here on ABC. It'll be next year. Rose swings and misses on a sharp breaking slider that just exploded inside. He singled his last 2 times up.
He does find a way.
Don Drysdale was going down to talk to the winning Phillies. He's now back.
Well, that's a long walk, too.
You believe this thing?
No, I don't.
How did you like pool?
I was talking to Tim McCarver, and he said, maybe Yogi Berra is right. It's not over till it's over.
Plate to Mike Schmidt. Ball 1. There's another moment of trivia for you. This is the first time in Major League playoff history, World Series and League Championship Series, we've had 3 extra inning games. The batter, McBride on deck. Whichever team wins this series is going to go into the World Series dog tired. They have to. Pitch is low. 2 balls and no strikes.
Then they got to cope with Wilson, Valentine, Brett. You think Frank White can't get you in a series? He's such a fine athlete. Gray. Some team, Kansas City.
Two and no pitch to Schmidt. Is outside. Zambito got Del Unser swinging to start the inning. Rose singled up the middle on him. Now he's in the hole to Mike Schmidt.
I wonder if he's going to give him the green light.
I'm just wondering, looking down in the dugout, I see the big bull down there with a batting helmet on. And you've got McBride coming up next. You wonder if Dallas might make a move.
There's the ball.
something to consider, isn't it? He's got to consider it, but he's also got to get a run.
Yeah, well, that's right.
That was ball 4, and the ball was thrown 90 miles an hour.
Well, you know, Mike Schmidt is anxious. Zambito's got an excellent fastball. That ball kind of rides up on him.
It really did rise.
Three and 2 now on the Philadelphia third baseman.
Now do you send Rose?
Ball is hit to left. Cruz is there. Makes the catch. 2 out.
To get Schmidt coming from 3-0 situation, you're doing something. Now the bull comes on.
So he will send Luzinski to hit for McBride.
Did you see what Schmidt was just telling them in the dugout?
Boy, he's hot at somebody in that Houston dugout.
He was mad at the umpire on the 3-0 pitch call.
He said something to somebody in the Houston dugout coming back by, too. He's just plain hot, that's all.
Here is Greg Luzinski, who had his string of successive games in which he had hit safely. 13 snapped yesterday. Mel Wright to the mound to talk with Joe Zambito. McBride has been hot, but not against Zambito. Joey has handled Bink. Top of the 10th inning.
Doug Harvey breaking it up. The man who admitted his vision was impaired by the batsman back in that apparent triple play inning that became a double play and engendered protests from both teams. Mike Schmidt there. Doug Harvey umpired his first major league game in 1962.
On first, 2 out, Luzinski up, and the pitch is outside, ball 1. Hit down the left field line toward the corner. It's bouncing off the wall. Fielded by Cruz. Here comes Rose around third. It'll take a perfect play. The throw to the plate gets away from Buxey. Rose scores. The ball was there in time. The catcher couldn't come up with it.
So the move works for Dallas Green as the big bull comes through.
Well, there's really no way that Pete Rose should be able to score on this ball because the ball was hit. Cruz got on the ball in a hurry. It's hit like a rocket, came right back at him. It hit that mesh screen. Cruz got on it, gave it to Landestoy. Now Pete Rose is just turning the corner, and Landestoy's throw short hops the catcher. Rose is going to knock it out of his hands all the way. Bochy is trying to get to the ball, and Rose lets him have the left right in the choppers.
Point is, though, Don, the ball was there.
Oh, it was a bad throw, though. It was a bad throw and short hopping.
And as we look at it again, even that took Landestoy a little long to see. He held it a little too long.
He held it, but if he throws it all the way in the air, and you got to figure that he can do that. Either that or the catcher's got to go up and catch it. That's all. Go up and catch it. He sees where Rose is. Why let the ball short hop you? Go get it. Rose is going to go all the way. You know that he's not going to wait for anything else to happen. He's seen too much in this series. He's not even going to slow down.
Watch this left.
Here's
of
the
Rose.
Pete Rose and Ray Fosse all over again. Remember that All-Star game? Indeed.
There he is. He looked like Roberto Duran coming in, I'll tell you.
Luzinski with a double, moved over to third on the play at the plate. Bochy's shaken off the impact of Rose's collision now, and the Phillies have gone back on top 4-3. Manny Trio is the hitter with 2 out. And he hits a rope into left center field in the gap, going all the way through. Luzinski scores from third. It's 5-3 Philadelphia. Stand-up double for Trio. I believe that's just a case of inexperience why this inning is still alive. The young catcher's got to go out. If he sees it's going to short hop him, he's got to go out and catch it. Rose is out by 20 feet. Go catch it, make the tag, go about your business. You don't have to stand there at home plate. No one has anchored you there.
But little things during the game. Ashby not available, injured. Pujols going out of the game, the damaged instep, the right instep. And now this. And it happened with 2 out. Give the manager, Dallas Green, some credit too. He made the move, putting in Luzinski.
They're going to walk Maddox intentionally. That's clearly reflected there. I don't know if it's going to be possible for either manager to sleep tonight. What about either team? Either team, yeah.
Aren't you going down the field again?
I have no idea.
It looks like we'll be in Houston tomorrow night. By the time I get to Denver.
Be there for lunch Monday. Trio's been a big man in this game today. That is a big run he just provided as Larry Bowa, the shortstop. Now tips it into the catcher's glove for strike 1. Trio at second, Maddox at first. Bowa swings on it. Doesn't get it. And it's strike 2 on Larry. There are the base runners. Trio doubled in the gap left center to bring Luzinski home. The excitement, the tension of the moment clearly reflected on that man's face. Bowa strikes out. The Philadelphia Phillies scored 2 in the top of the 10th. Lead 5-3. Trying to stay alive. Defensive changes for the Phillies in the bottom of the 10th. George Vukovich is in left field. And Del Unser has moved over to right field. McBride lifted for the pinch hitter Luzinski. So there is still speed in the outfield. And Tug McGraw is on the mound. You try and sit back and analyze this game today and say where turning points are, and you're going to use up about 2 pages of stationery.
More than that. This was a game that neither team wanted to win, and yet so desperately wanted to win in their hearts that it's affected their play. Mistakes all over the lot.
Joe Morgan against McGraw in the series. 2 for 3 with a double and a triple. Pitch is high and tight.
Doug's job to get 1 more inning out of that arm.
Strike. So much to write about and talk about this game. We're going to pick up the sports section down here tomorrow. They're going to weigh about 4 pounds apiece. 2-2. Here's a case of a man right here. If Morgan didn't stop and look in rows and throw the runner out, Schmidt out at first, it's a different ball game. There's an if with a man coming up in the on-deck circle. Jeff Leonard. Bounced foul. And the if with Leonard is if he knew he caught the ball, why didn't he throw to first base and double up Schmidt before Rose scored?
That's one if, and the other if is if Leonard had thrown on the other occasion to second instead of the third, you got a different situation in that 3-run rally.
Rose said there's all kinds of if. That's what makes it a great game. Morgan out looking. It appears Tuck's got something left. I talked with Joe earlier in the day, and I asked him about, does he see many screwballs from McGraw? He says he doesn't really turn it over and make it do much. He uses it as a change, and that's exactly what he did right there. Leonard looks at a ball inside. He's been to the plate twice. Struck out twice. Both times pinch hitting. On deck. Philadelphia 5, Houston 3, bottom of the 10th. High pop to the right side. The right fielder, Unser. 2 down. Phillies hold on and win. We'll play Game 5 tomorrow night. We'll see it here on ABC at 8 Eastern Time.
How either team can have any verve left after this one remains to be seen.
We're getting pretty close to a 4-hour ball game.
Well, you've still got another college game in it.
They figure the pitchers tomorrow. Houston's on record, Nolan Ryan. We're guessing Ruthven for Philadelphia. So Bystrom's a possibility. There's that screwball. Strike to Howe. Next, Love Boat, Fantasy Island, later on the West Coast. Now takes it. Slider inside, 1-1.
They've had a Fantasy Island here this afternoon. Something.
What a tattoo there.
Hit in the air to center field. Maddox. Phillies win 5-3. They stay alive for Game 5. Their search remains in effect for their first National League pennant since 1950. The Astros have never had one.
Their entire group of athletes, they've been forsaken by their own fans, the Phillies, but they didn't give up on themselves. With all their mistakes today, they held together, and in the end, it was Pete Rose and the bull, Luzinski, who put together the run that gave them the victory.
Once again, the final score, Philadelphia 5, Houston 3. After 162 games of the regular season, 1 game playoff, and 4 games of the National League Championship Series, the pennant comes down to just 1 more. Join us tomorrow at 8 Eastern Time as the Phillies and Astros square off to settle the issue in the National League. Travel arrangements made through and promotional fee paid by United Airlines. United flies more people to Hawaii than any other airline. That's what Friendly Skies are all about. This is a presentation of ABC Sports, recognized around the world as the leader in sports television.